AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
Hey everyone, already the last Saturday in February. Unbelievable how fast time flies by right now. But this is Real Hockey Talk and Breakthrough Sports. We're broadcasting today from Mod Pizza here off of 75th Avenue in Bell, right across the street from Arrowhead Mall. Some of my favorite pizza out there, and kind of that new technology over the last couple of years where, you know, you build your own pizza, it goes in a special oven, and 2-3 minutes later, you have it. So it's some great stuff. I'm Greg Isaac alongside Derek Montilla.
Howdy, howdy.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, thanks for coming back.
I thought I did something.
No, of course not. Yeah, we know you're busy and everything comes up. And Saturdays are interesting days because I made it in here probably just 3 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah.
My son Mason, his soccer game, he has soccer games on Saturdays at noon, and it's right there down the street. Now, we had a snack day last week, but it was rained out.
Okay.
And no one had signed up this week, so I thought, okay, I could run and get the snacks for the team real quick. Bad idea, because I got stuck in the store.
Oh, yeah.
And then by the time I got back, everyone had already left.
Right.
And so you have the snacks and then running behind through here. But come on out because, you know, one, we'll be here, but two, we have the prize wheel on hand, and we have a lot of giveaways, some gift certificates, and especially for kids, a lot of toys. Some fun stuff out here.
Absolutely, and lots of sports to talk about.
That too, yeah.
If you want to call it that during this time of year.
Yeah, exactly. It's an interesting time. Of course, football's done. We're in that trade deadline scenario for hockey and NBA. We just had that, so we'll talk about that. PJ Tucker move, among other things going on, as well as spring training, some games, taking on today. I know Camelback Ranch, you have the Dodgers there. We'll talk about the Diamondbacks and their spring training, maybe guys that you think might stand out, might surprise this year.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It'll be exciting stuff. And but we'll take a quick break right now. We'll come back in just a couple minutes, and we'll get into all that, a little hockey, and then we'll go over some of the guests that we have going on today. And again, we're here at Mod Pizza, 75th Ave and Bell, right across the street from Arrowhead Mall. Come down, enjoy some outstanding pizza, and then spin the prize wheel. There's some prizes, and we'll have our speaker going on. So if you want to listen to us here, you can.
Lots of great giveaways from Mod Pizza as well.
Exactly. Oh, there's some fun stuff over here. What a great place. And this is Real Hockey Talk Breakthrough Sports, NBC Sports Radio AM 1060. We'll be right back.
Sports legend Bob Kemp anchors the Sports Zone, weekdays from 11 a.m. to 2. All the best local and national sports programming here on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060.
And welcome back to Real Hockey Talk / Breakthrough Sports here on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060. I am out of breath.
Greg's a little out of breath. He's been doing some running around, getting our situation here at Mod Pizza all ready to go. He's got the prize wheel and lots of prizes, and he's made 3 trips in a matter of 1 commercial break, so you got to applaud him on that.
Well, thank you. This is the most working out I have ever done.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. And notice I did nothing to help you at all in any way.
No, that's actually, you did great because you were in here. If we would have come back in, you were here to save the day.
I would have been here. I would have been here to blabber for 5 minutes before you came back in.
So we got Jimmy Marshall and Ed Smith out there, and they could come in if they want. I told them, but they're enjoying the weather.
I think they're enjoying the weather way too much. This is beautiful spring training weather, so it's that time of the year when you get to brag and send pictures to family members in the East Coast. You know?
Exactly, here in Phoenix. And then Of course, the weather takes a turn in a couple months. However, it's not the end of the world.
This is when we can brag. This is bragging weather time.
This is that time right now, and it's really exciting. And so at 3:30, and we'll get more info on this. Of course, we'll have our in-studio guest from Rick Ronson's House of Comedy, and so everyone probably knows who that is, and I do as well, but we will let you know in a little bit. And then, of course, we'll talk some hockey, possibly with Jaime Eisner of FanRags a little later. And Kevin Guy, Arizona Rattlers head coach GM, might be joining us later on today as well. So some fun stuff going on as we get our prize wheel.
Prize wheel's ready for you to come down and spin it.
Yes, and on our next break, we'll have everything set up even differently. If we had video, Facebook Live going, then you would understand. You would say, okay, you guys getting your stuff.
Right.
But it's going to be a lot of fun. So a little different this week than normal. We'll obviously still do our hockey talk, but going to mix in a lot of the basketball and spring training a little earlier in the show as well. And, I just want to get to that with the NBA trade deadline coming and going. It was a crazy week, really.
Right.
I mean, not only a lot of movement, but, with the Suns, I know it seemed like maybe if they had an opportunity to get a big-name guy that long-term, maybe they would have tried to go that route, and we could talk to you about that, Derek. And then the Lakers totally, redoing the front office finally. And so we could get into all that good stuff, and then, of course, some of the major moves. But what are your thoughts on the deadline in whole? I mean, would you consider this, an exciting active deadline per se, the week leading up to it or so?
Yeah, I think it was fun. I think that there was some big moves. It definitely wasn't a stale deadline. As far as for the local team, for the Phoenix Suns, I think it was a little depressing. It once again is, admitting that your season is over at trade deadline. I'm very happy for PJ Tucker of where he's going to get an opportunity to go.
Right.
I'm very, very. I find the return to be very questionable.
Yeah.
I also understand about PJ Tucker, though. You're not going to get a lot for someone like him. But the return and picking up a player that was essentially about to be cut anyway. I mean, it just shows that the Suns are freeing up cap room and doing some things just to move money around and to have some availability, hopefully to do something big, maybe in the offseason, maybe next season. It just, once again, as a Suns fan, it's a signal to me that the season's over. And like I was saying, I'm happy for PJ. I think he goes to a team that immediately is a contender in the East already. He's going to be invaluable to that team because that team needs somebody exactly like him that's willing to do the stuff that he is so good at doing. He's not going to be a highlight reel guy. He never was. That's why Suns fans love him so much, because he does the stuff that you need someone there to do. He does the dirty work, but we'll see what happens with the Suns going forward. I think that they could have made some more moves if they wanted to go in this direction. There's a lot of other players that they could have moved that it would have beneficially helped out the team that they would have traded them to, while at the same time, preparing them better for the future, because obviously that's the direction they're heading. They're heading towards Tank Town this season, and they're going for the highest draft pick that they can. It's understandable. It's a business move, and it makes sense when the Suns are in the position that they're in.
Right.
But as a fan, it sucks. It's always a terrible thing when you have to, have that realization that they're not even going to make a run for a week, 8th seed position or something. Obviously, a lot of people were realistic about that wasn't going to happen anyway.
Exactly.
But, it's always a sad thing when your team waves that white flag for the season, and around the All-Star break is especially hard.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, it is tough in some regards. Now, looking towards the future, as you said, with the young guys, but come this deadline, I mean, I know there was talk, Paul George, guys like that. Indiana was at least willing to listen. Obviously, they wanted, a mammoth offer for him. And maybe Butler with the Bulls, some other guys. Do you think the Suns had a legitimate interest in maybe if there was an opportunity to bring in a star that, of course, is signed long-term or at least not a free agent coming up this year? Do you think there was some legitimate interest, or is that something that they're more leaning as an off-season move?
My feeling is it would have had to be a long-term contract impact, because I don't think the Suns saw themselves as being one player away.
Right.
Then that's a very realistic way to look at this team, because they're definitely not just one player away. Mm-hmm. They do have some very exciting young talent that can be leaders and can make an impact in this league, but they still need to make some moves, several moves, in order to make this team competitive for this league. I mean, this league right now is being dominated by 2 or 3 teams.
Right.
So there's a lot of teams out there that are, trying to get to that level, but they're not even close. Mm-hmm. I'll take a team like the Milwaukee Bucks, for instance, and say with what they've done is I feel like they're significantly closer to being a really, really good team. They're the kind of team that can afford to possibly make that move for one player or 2 players that could drastically change their lineup and instantly make them a contender with who they have. Going forward, they're going to be even more dangerous, because a lot of the talent that they have is young as well. They just have really, really good young talent. The Suns, unfortunately, aren't in that position, but they're in the position right now to start making these changes, especially for like a role player like PJ Tucker. He's not going to make a significant impact on this team right now, and he's also getting older in age, so you'd like to see him have an opportunity to succeed elsewhere and get the recognition he deserves for doing the stuff he does.
Oh, absolutely. And, I mean, great analysis there, Derek, on what P.J. Tucker means to a team. And I know Raptor players really wanted him there for the defensive ability and all that good stuff. And we'll get back into the NBA a little later. Joining us right now, though, we haven't talked to him in a long time, but Jaime Eisner, Director of Content with FanRag Sports. And, Jaime, how are things going?
It's going well. Long time no chat.
Yeah, absolutely. And you still sound the same. Good stuff. And so your thought, the Coyotes, obviously, well, the good thing is second half of the year for young teams, young players progress more, and it seems like in ways that's happened. But your take maybe on the overall season before we get into maybe some upcoming trade deadline moves and what's going on with maybe a new arena. But your overall take, are you surprised by maybe how slow they started, per se? Did you expect a little more this year? Or is this sort of right on cue with maybe your thoughts on this type of roster?
If I'm looking big picture overall, I'd say I'm ever so slightly disappointed, and I think it's mostly because of the start of the season. I think even though a lot of fans weren't sure it was going to happen, everybody kind of hoped that maybe Dylan Strome would make the roster right away and kind of see what he has. It's like you have to wait a full year before you can really see what he can do, possibly at the NHL level is a little disappointing. But I've been encouraged by the back half of the season. Christian Dvorak is playing really well. He's starting to show that he can maybe be a bona fide top 6 center for them. You look at some of the young pieces, and really the only one that I think you could say now that's been disappointing would be Anthony Duclair, who's in the minors. But Domi's turned things around a little bit. As I mentioned, Dvorak has been really a really strong player for them. Burmistrov, not sure if he's going to be back next year or not, but he's had some impact for them. So they're starting to head into the right direction. I just thought we would see more of what this team has been the last month or so. I thought we would see that earlier in the season.
Yeah, no, I think I'm sort of with you there on that. Is going into the year at least, I thought, they wouldn't make the playoffs, but they would be a lot closer and still in the conversation. As the season sort of gets to the point where it's at now, but definitely good at least to see some of the young guys, that are picking it up, and learning, more, because obviously the NHL, totally different game than the AHL or juniors or whatnot. And, I'm with you there with Christian Dvorak. I mean, he's been a lot of fun to watch lately, and it's really exciting, still what the Coyotes have with the young core that's already on the roster, and then next year, and your thoughts. I don't know if you've had a chance to see him much, in the World Juniors, anything like that. But Clayton Keller, do you feel he's the type of guy maybe next year could be ready to make the jump, or do you feel maybe that situation where they kind of bring him along slowly?
I think they're going to bring him along slowly. I think next year's probably pushing it a little bit in terms of any sort of significant NHL role. But I think they're going to continue on the same process they've done this entire time, which was they're not going to force people up into their system. It was a massive problem in the Wayne Gretzky era. It's a big reason why the Coyotes were in such a tattered situation when Dave Tippett took over, as they continued to stick every first-round pick they possibly could into their lineup. And, for some it worked right away, like a guy like Peter Mueller and Mikhail Bodker both had success early on, but were not able to grow from there. Some players just never really found success, like a Kyle Turris. So they're going to make sure that they're going to bring guys up when they're absolutely ready. And if that means they have to spend another year in juniors, like a Max Domi did, like a Dylan Strome is doing right now, then that's what they're going to do.
Oh, absolutely. And, of course, we're speaking with Jaime Eisner with FanRags. And Derek Montilla is here. So kind of a little reunion here because it's been a while since.
I miss you, Jaime.
Yeah.
How's it going, buddy? Hey,
going well.
With this whole Coyote situation, how worried should fans be that with the change in their arena, now that they're looking towards downtown Phoenix for possibly a new home, how worried should fans be that this team might not be here in the Valley too much longer going forward?
I'm not sure fans should be too worried about it right now. They've always had, in the last couple of years, options. Their first option was Tempe, and getting that deal done. Right. But they had multiple other possibilities on the table. Now, just like anything else, and anybody who's followed this arena situation with the Coyotes over the last 7-8 years or so, realizes what possibility is versus an actuality. I know that the city of Phoenix and Mayor Stanton really wants to have a multi-purpose facility downtown for the Suns and for the Coyotes, and the Suns have balked at that more than anything. So that, to me, I'm not sure downtown is actually going to end up being viable, because if they cannot get the Suns on board with it, they're not going to build an arena just for the Suns, at least what they're saying right now. But the Coyotes do have some other options. There's, as been reported, there's something out in Scottsdale on the reservation that could be done. There are some complications with that when you start to build on reservation land for what's technically U.S. soil. But they do have some options. I don't think this is a red alert they're about to move situation at all.
But what is Glendale doing? Like what in general? Why would they not want to do everything they can to make this work out? I really don't understand what Glendale plans to do with that arena once this team no longer plays there.
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem. And going back to the litany of city council meetings when this whole process has been going on, I felt like this Glendale City Council thought they were playing a Sun-Zero game. They thought they were acting like, well, should we build the arena or should we not? Instead of dealing with the situation that they're actually in, which is the arena's already built. We are paying for the arena. We have unpaid bonds that we're going to be paying on the arena for years and years to come. How do we make the best of this situation? And I don't think anybody would argue that if you could start from day one and look at the current arena where it's built and the terms of it, it wouldn't happen again. But that's not the reality we live in. The reality is that a building is there. It is a very nice facility. It's commented on constantly when opposing media and players and fans come to the building how much they love what the building looks like. But the reality is you got to generate revenue from it. And if they're content on doing everything they can to push the Coyotes away from that arena, they're going to have even bigger problems than they have now.
Correct. Because I can count on one hand how many times I've been to a concert or something else that wasn't a Coyotes game in that building. So
because they have to if you're Live Nation, if you're some of these other promotions, what is your first choice? If it's a massive, massive concert like what Guns N' Roses was, what the Metallica concert that's coming up, they're going to go to University of Phoenix Stadium because they need the space. Other concerts like Green Day's coming and John Mayer, some other people, they're going to go downtown Phoenix to Talking Stick. Glendale is going to get the third, or if they're very small, they go to, I forgot what they call it now, but the old Cricket Pavilion.
Yeah, oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
So Gila River Arena is going to end up being like a fourth choice for them when they come to the Phoenix market. So that's again another reality they have to face, that they're not even desirable when it comes to the entertainment market right now.
Well, I think what you said earlier is actually the best thing about this, or not best, but the worst thing about this whole situation is the day one, it would never have happened in Glendale again. And I think the biggest problem is that so much of their fan base was from the East Valley. I remember that being a constant complaint of so many season ticket holders when they were downtown, that the majority of their events and things they did were in Chandler and other areas that were in East Valley, and they moved it basically almost as far away as they possibly could from a large contingent of their season ticket holders.
Yeah, it's a huge problem they face constantly, and I know there are some fans that think that's just an excuse, but I talk to more and more of the casual hockey fan around here, and ultimately when you're talking about walk-up tickets and in a new market, a fairly relatively new market for hockey, compared to the the original Six market, you have to try to get those casual fans. The hardcore fans are going to show up there every night, but you have to try to get those casual fans to be out there and make revenue. And the reality is it's a far drive for them. And people in the greater Phoenix area, because of the way that the grid system is built with our streets, because of just how convenient everything is, they are not used to doing let's say a 2-hour drive into the city, or in this case into Glendale, to watch a game, like somebody that might live in the Philadelphia area, or that lives anywhere in the tri-state area in the Northeast, or that lives in Chicago. They know what they're getting into, but that's how they get to work. It's just not ingrained in the culture out here to spend 90 minutes, 2 hours or more to get in and out of a facility. And in reality, the only thing that draws out there is the Cardinal, and that's 8 Sundays a year.
Yeah, it's interesting, and that's a great point that you bring up, because other big cities, with L.A. and some of the other cities you mentioned, with people driving an hour or two, you're kind of used to it, but, the way things are set up. You also got me when you said John Mayer. I'm looking forward to that.
I think he just announced it, I saw.
Oh, man, breaking that for us. Thank you. Now, Jamie, real quick, a couple minutes left. The trade deadline, Michael Stone already moved to Calgary. Was that the type of return that you felt he would get, in the sense because he has struggled a bit, after his injury and things like that? And is it a given, as long as he doesn't get hurt in the next few days, that Marty Hansel and some of the other rental guys, per se, contracts are up, will definitely be moved?
Yeah, on the Michael Stone front, the third-round pick and the conditional sixth, I think that's almost exactly market value for him. He had a pretty decent season last year, got hurt late, really struggled to kind of get back from that injury. But, in reality, he's most likely a bottom-pair defenseman. He might end up playing up there on the second pairing with T.J. Brody once he gets up to speed in Calgary. But that's what you're going to get on a rental deal for a number 5, let's say, defenseman. I think I would be floored if Martin Hansel was not traded by the deadline. Last I heard, there have been no contract talks between the Coyotes and Martin Hansel in his memory. Martin Hansel has made certain comments after multiple games that he's just playing for his future. To me, this seems like this is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. The other name, Radim Bravada, I think right now his value is really high, and there are a lot of teams that could be very interested in a fairly cheap contract for a guy that can be a goal scorer on the right side. But I don't feel like the Coyotes are saying they have to move him. They want to have some veterans in that locker room for these young guys. If they get a good offer, I don't think that they will reject it, but I don't think they're just going to take anything they possibly could get for Radim Bravada.
Oh, absolutely. And, Jamie, we're already at the end of the segment. Time flies when we're having fun. Of course, Director of Content with FanRag Sports. And thank you for joining us. And we look forward to speaking again soon. It's been too long. And, of course, coming up on our break, we'll talk a little more Coyotes after the break here on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060.
Every Monday through Friday, turn your dials to NBC Sports Radio AM 1060 from 2 to 3 p.m. as Uncle Buck, Shot Dog, and Polecat bring you For the Love of the Game.
And welcome back to Real Hockey Talk and Breakthrough Sports right here on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060. We're broadcasting from Mod Pizza off of 75th Avenue and Bell, right across the street from Arrowhead Mall. We got the prize wheel on hand and, of course, some great giveaways and prizes here today, so definitely come on out. The pizza here, it's some of my favorite pizza. It is outstanding. It's extremely quick, as we talked about earlier. If you haven't been to Mod yet, You get in here, you build your own pizza, very affordable as well. And then they put it in this just amazing oven.
It's magic.
Yeah, it's
magic. You don't even question it. It's just a magical oven.
I look in there like, who is in there? Is it like a Disney character?
What do you guys like most about it? I've never had it before, so.
I find it to be interesting the way that you can, kind of customize your pizza the way that you want it. But they come with all these great, already pre-made kind of ideas, but you can just kind of build your own pizza, and I think that's the cool thing about it. Years ago it was like sandwich shops that you could go in and actually sit there and be like, put that on it, that on it. You were going to a pizza shop and being over the shoulder like that while the pizza guy was making your pizza.
And one thing that they were telling me was the mod pizza salad is the real popular one where you could put, and I see a lot of people that are enjoying that. I never heard of it. So, hey, we learn something new every day. So, that's a good thing. So
absolutely.
I have been trying to eat salads more, so I might end up taking a look in that direction.
You go. I'm with you there. And so, you add some good greens onto there.
Well, you started your workout program today.
Look at that.
Between the car, get yourself a salad. You'll be right on the healthy kick.
See, Ed, I was down at I-9. I don't know if you were there earlier.
Yeah, I was there.
And our snack week was last week, but because it was rained out, and we noticed, there wasn't a sign up this week. So I zoomed down to the store, which was a bad idea because the store was so packed. And I didn't realize till I got in line. And then when I got back, not only everything was over, so the snacks are, I guess we'll just save for next week, but it almost made me obviously late for here, even though it was just down the street. So it was sort of a crazy little morning going on there, but definitely one of the great workouts that I've had. I shouldn't be saying that, though, because, I got to try to impress crew and some of the other ladies out there by, not making it sound like I very rarely work out.
He does this all the time.
Yeah, there you go.
This is the regular Greg. Get used to it.
I don't just sit on a couch.
Not at all. He sprinted to the car.
So where did we put Mr. Isaac today? Did he make it to Sedona, or did he he's enjoying the film festival? Have we?
He is. Yeah, we rolled him down there. He rolls down and up the mountain. Yeah, he's down there. I think he's enjoying it. He shares a lot of the Facebook Live interviews he has, and
good.
He's pretty excited.
We appreciate Dave. He always allows us to keeps the seat warm for us. That's that's how
he really does.
Works out. So hey, before we get back into some more sports, guys, Greg, and Derek, if you don't, you will now. My sister has been involved in education for 30 years. Mm-hmm. She is a assistant superintendent in the Madison School District, and my wife Patty is on the board. And obviously you and your daughter Lily, right, in school, and you and Mason. And then Ed with Quentin. So look, we're all firm believers in education. I mean, we don't want to make it a political thing, but we need to do more for education, and that's where it is. But Madison Education Foundation, their annual bash is coming up next Saturday, as you and I are doing our show from noon to 4. Mm-hmm. Madison School District. It's going to be at Madison No. 1 Middle School, located at 5525 North 16th Street. It's the annual celebration of music, arts in the Madison schools and the surrounding communities. Attendees will have the opportunity to feast on goodies by gourmet food trucks, purchase unique and local products from a wide variety of vendors. Vendors in the area, in the Madison school areas, have donated everything. It's amazing what they are donating. It's just that you can bid on. Possibility, Ed, we might end up putting in for an auction an hour on our show. Have somebody that, just to raise money.
Good idea.
Win great prizes from the Madison Bash raffle, like we were talking. Participate in art demonstrations. Okay, here's the good thing. First 200 students in attendance will receive free bicycle helmets courtesy of the City of the Phoenix Police. They're going to be on site to provide free car seat checks in the district office parking lot. Don't even have to be a member of the Madison schools. Anybody can go down.
That's really nice.
So all the proceeds from the raffle and the sponsorship are going to benefit the Madison Elementary Education Foundation. For more information, please visit MadisonEducationFoundation.org/events.
Well, that's very near and dear to my heart because my wife went to that school, actually. actually, and she can't say enough good things about that school. One of her main concerns about my in-laws moving was the chance that my daughter might have gotten to go to those schools based on them watching her and stuff like that. So she was very upset about that because she's always had just the top things to say about her school, and it's an amazing opportunity to go down, especially for I can't say enough about getting the child car seat checked by someone at a fire department or by a police officer, somebody that knows, because there's those things, they don't come with instructions to tell you how to do it right. They really don't. Like, I'm speaking from experience. I did it so poorly,
I don't know what the percentage is, but it's like 80% get it wrong one way or another. Even when it looks right. You're looking at the picture, you're like, oh, yeah, it seems sturdy.
Right. Well, and it seems that
it
seems that it always changes because, for example, my brother Andy and his 9-year-old daughter, when they transfer now it's a booster seat.
Yeah.
They still can't ride in the front of the car. It's still in the back of the car. I think when you're a certain age, you guys probably can answer this. When you're a child, the car seat is turned facing away, and then it's turned. So you guys. But like we said,
so many rules to follow.
Yeah, there is.
The age and the weight and all that stuff.
I'm checks with you, man. I mean, like that's that moment when you take, especially when it's your first child, and you take them home from the hospital, and you're like, really, no one's gonna go home with us and make sure that we're doing everything right.
So we just wanted to promote that. Any of the school districts that are offering them, you're going to see them being all advertised. We get an opportunity to stop. We live in the Paradise Valley School District, another great school district, and they always do a good one. Madison, all the school districts are good, and we can't do enough to raise money. And just because, look, you can say it till you're blue in the face and people get tired of it, but what about children? They're our future, folks. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's like you said, not to get political about it by any means, but it's a legitimate concern to be worried about education with the way things are going right now. There just seems to be a lack of focus on education as a priority, and schools like this need all the help that they can get. And not only that, but this is a fantastic opportunity. The first 200 students in attendance receiving free bicycle helmets. That's a big thing, man. Not enough kids wear bike helmets, and they don't know the dangers of riding around without one. I mean, I do all that dorky stuff now that I never wanted to do because I'm trying to keep myself safe. When I run, I wear a little blinking light on the back of me when I run now, so that cars don't.
You can actually still run.
Oh, I can still run a little bit.
I thought that meant as a target. That's why I tried to run into you there.
I mean, so there's our PSA for the day. We'll bring it up again throughout the show to let everybody know. So, but we appreciate you having Ed and I on. And
well, thank you guys for coming on. Yeah.
Before we do a break, Ed's got some news about what's going to be going on at NBC Sports AM 1060.
Next Saturday, we are launching the Easy Sports Talk Show from 10 to 12 every Saturday. Jim and I are partnering up. We've been doing this. We've been around each other for basically the last 6 years. We broke in together. We've been doing stuff around each other, and always bumping each other and helping each other out. And we finally decided, when some opportunities came about, we're going to get this show kicked off next week. We're actually going to be concentrating on the local sports scene as well as, the hot topics, the national scene as well. And what we want to do is make this a very interactive show for the fans. A lot of call-in, a lot of get the opinion of what's going on out there in our local landscape. So we're really excited, aren't we, Jim?
We're excited. We're glad that NBC Sports 1060 wants to give us an opportunity to be on to make our show work, and we plan on including Derek, who I mean, we our passion for baseball. I mean, you can just see it. I already brought it in the baseball magazine. We're already flipping through it.
I was like, let me see that. Let me see that.
And any of the four sports, and we have Greg and Dave to thank. They gave us an opportunity years ago when we were on a smaller station way back when, and so we keep those guys in the loop. We want to be able to do a little crosstalk with those guys and everything like that. So
we've all been sports family for a while now.
Right.
For a long time.
It's a fantastic thing, and I'm so
we've
glad.
never done Thanksgiving together.
Yeah,
that's got to change.
So no, actually, that sounds like a great family. We just all text each other and send our love, and then we go about eating our turkey.
One thing I have to thank Greg and Dave for is my increased hockey knowledge.
I'm
trying to tell you. When I joined these guys a while back, like I said, we've been working together for a long time, and for like the last year and some change.
Yeah.
I've been consistently doing the show, and and sometimes I worried that I was asking too many questions, but these guys, they've been great. And like I said, my hockey acumen has just exploded over so thank you guys.
And Greg knows, especially, I think Derek was kind of just a hockey novice and, learning more. And, it's always considered, the fourth sport out of them all. It will work in the Valley if you get the right ownership and we get all this taken care of, what they're going to do with the stadium and stuff. But, and Greg following it back and forth. This has been the strongest year for hockey for TV ratings. Mm-hmm. A lot of the attendance is up at all the arenas. They just signed a new huge, commercial deal and everything like that. So they've got it figured out. The thing that I'm hoping for this year with the NHL, we're jumping off into the Stanley Cup. Don't split the Stanley Cup where 2 days it's on NBC over-the-air TV, and then you're going to move it to NBC National on satellite TV, because people want to be able to see one time where it's going to be and then have it there all the time.
It's such an insane thing.
I
hate searching for – that's one of my complaints about the NCAA tournament now.
Yeah.
Not only is it everywhere, but it's on the most bizarre, obscure channel. True TV has this game. You're like, True TV?
Right.
They have
the greatest station ever now.
Sure, well, great, yeah. But I'm just saying, it's so hard sometimes to figure out the schedule. When you're talking about a championship, especially something like that, I feel like that alone is one of the things that kind of adds to people's lack of interest in hockey.
Absolutely.
You're not giving it the prestige it deserves. What other championship would games of it be played on a random, satellite sports network that not even a lot of people have?
Could you imagine the NFL taking a wild card game and just putting it on TNT or something?
How about the NFL Network? How about if they put it on the NFL Network? They know better than to do that. They would love to. Love to, but they don't.
We're still talking hockey here because obviously who talks more hockey than anybody else?
Sure.
Nobody but NBC Sports Radio AM 1060. But you're right. But what's going to happen when some of these contracts come up and you have Amazon? Amazon is willing to shell out major amounts of money to try to get Sunday night or Monday night football. Now you're seeing, and we can pick, the Rattlers. Everybody knows they're not in an arena football league anymore. They're in the indoor football league. All the games are on YouTube now.
Yeah.
So Thursday night football, you were able to watch it on Yahoo and you were able to watch it on Twitter. Yeah. So now these streaming things, but you're right. We want to be able to have the hockey where it is, because there's nothing like playoff hockey. There's nothing like any sport.
No.
When they go into the playoffs,
but
the Stanley Cup. You're getting set, and then all of a sudden, the game has been on over-the-air Channel 12, and then the next thing you know, you got to find it on whether you have Cox or Dish or Direct or whatever, and people just get confused, and they're not going to watch it.
And then the ones that don't have cable, they got to I got to leave and watch the game and all that stuff. That makes total sense, and I don't know why they've done it like this. I'm not sure for the NHL how that works money-wise, but
they're just not savvy in marketing in the way that they market themselves, because there's not enough broad commercials for products, national products, with hockey players being silly and wacky in it and getting their names out there for the top talent in the league. I mean, that's something that when I was younger, there was kids directed stuff at me to get me into hockey. I got into hockey because I remember a little short thing explaining the rules of hockey on something I watched. Made it out like the Pittsburgh Penguins were the greatest hockey team to ever walk the face of the earth. And I was like, all right, cool, I'm on board with the Penguins, Still am kind of a fan to this day, but it's one of those kind of things. As I was young, that's when a decision was made in my mind, and here I am 35 years old, and I'm still kind of rooting for the Penguins because they've just always been my pseudo-hockey team long before.
Well, I know your wrestling background, too. You just want to hit something.
Oh yeah, that's it too. I mean, it's funny, but there's a lot of things about hockey that are fun like that. But with me, speaking of playoff hockey, one of the things I loved the most was when I would watch hockey, I always thought it was really sloppy to do some of the stuff they did, like fight and trip and all of that. And when they got to the playoffs, all of that went away because they were so focused on trying to win that they weren't unnecessarily fighting a guy that that checked them into the boards. They were focused on the game, and it was when hockey was at its best. And I loved watching playoff hockey. I still do to this day. But I think Jim's right. I don't know where to find it. When it's on, I'll watch it, but I don't know where to find it. Yeah. I'll watch it when it's on NBC on like a Sunday now that, the NFL season's over and I can catch it. But, again, they don't do a great job of marketing it. They have some great events, the Winter Classic, all of that stuff, but they just don't put it out there enough for, like, the general non-hardcore hockey fan to know about.
Right, and if you think about it, remember, you're talking the four major sports. Gary Bettman, when he came in to be commissioner, was not seen as a good commissioner. Then he was at the top of the ladder. Now he's kind of down at the bottom. It's kind of like football. Goodell was at the top. Now Goodell seems to be one on the bottom. Sure. Now you've got the two, Rob Manfred and Adam Silver for the NBA. Yeah. Those are the ones that are kind of high up now because they want to make sweeping changes. And we'll get into the baseball changes here coming up. But you're right. If hockey's going to do, they've rebranded themselves. They got some major sponsors going on, but it's going to come down to people want to be able to see it on the channel that they want. I know hockey on radio, some cities are really big for it,
right,
that they can do it. But if you really listen to hockey on the radio, you really can pick up a lot of stuff. And then when you watch it on TV, you say, oh, my goodness, that's why, for
yeah.
Derek makes a great point, too, even, me being a novice, follower of the sport. I hear the common names, your Crosbys, but as far as like your rising stars, I have no idea who they are.
Right.
Whereas, and baseball has a little bit of an identity crisis itself, but they've got their own problems. But like with basketball and football, who the superstars of those leagues are.
They'll have a Gatorade commercial before you even see them set foot on a court.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing about it. And I know that's sometimes it doesn't work out that way. Sometimes, they put their money in the wrong person. But for the most part with those sports, they know who the defined stars are going to be when they're in the league.
Somebody has to fly the flag.
Correct.
And, you pick that, so every now and then you might pick the wrong horse, but at least they're out in front doing it. Whereas with the NHL, I could not tell you other than from the fact of maybe catching a couple of highlights on ESPN and hearing those common names. Right. I don't know who the rising stars are or who the next generation is.
Right. It's definitely different how it used to be. I mean, like you talked about, Derek, back in the 90s and stuff like that, when you still had Gretzky and Lemieux in there, in late 80s, our generation coming up. I was born into it, but a lot of kids in the West Coast really started getting involved, when Gretzky went to L.A. and just, and then you had the Mighty Duck movies come out.
Yeah,
and
there you
kids
go.
saw that. And they did have some of the stars, make cameos in some of these movies. Sure. So then kids start to see that. And I think there was that cartoon, and I forget what it was called.
It was the All-Star cartoon.
Yeah,
like
Gretzky,
Michael Jordan, Gretzky.
Bo Jackson, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, stuff like that. Now you don't. And, I mean, people know the name, Sidney Crosby in a way, but not the way they knew some of the stars back then. And these guys are really good players.
Let's put it this way. If Sidney Crosby walked in that door right now, I would have absolutely no idea who he is. But if LeBron James walked in the door, this whole place would explode. So that tells you, like I said, it's not in our face enough. They're not doing a good enough job putting it in our face so we know who these players are.
But you see them starting to market the guys now. You see an Austin Matthews as being, marketed now, and obviously being a local guy as well. You're starting to see some of the young guys that hockey's doing it, but it all comes down to the same thing we talked about at the very beginning. What channel is it going to be on so you can sit your kids down and watch it, and boys and girls can sit down and watch it and say, oh, there is that Austin Matthews, and then you can say he played like, and then you bring up somebody from back when you were watching it, so hockey still has a ways to go, but I'm very excited that the attendance is up and revenue is up for hockey and everything, and hopefully it can continue because we've said it'll work out here. We just got a few more kinks to work out and everything like that, and it's proof because did you go to the Kings Coyotes game last week? And that turned out to be a pretty good crowd. Obviously, when the Canadian teams are here, they do well and everything. Sure. Granted, we're transplant city and everything like that, and it comes down to you got to win. But when you get the marquee teams in here, it does come out. It does work.
Well, yeah, and I mean that's also a side effect of Arizona sports, right? Is that a lot of times, especially when the team is consistently bad for a period of time, you're going to get a bigger visitor crowd than you're going to get than the home crowd. But guess what? That's fine as long as there's people coming to see it. And it's like you said, I'm happy because hockey should be popular. Hockey is a fun sport. Mm-hmm. It really, really is. I mean, I think I've always enjoyed hockey. I have a hard time now, being a fan of the Coyotes, for instance, because of how long they've been bad for. And I understand people's frustration. But I think for me, as to my question to Jamie earlier, I also feel like this whole wishy-washy thing with where they're going to play and Glendale not wanting them and all of that also
it's wearing
also
on people.
Wears on people and makes me lose interest
and
as well.
It makes you wonder if that's what's going to happen with the Diamondbacks and their stadium issue and everything. Whether they repair it doesn't matter, but is that just going to start to wear on people? Now the Suns want a new arena. What are we going to do about that? Right. Are they going? And so you're right. It comes down to all that, and people want the frustration. I don't know if people thought the Coyotes were going to be struggled this much as they thought. I thought they would be a little bit more competitive this year.
Yeah.
I think we knew the Suns were going to be in growing pains that they did, but last year with the Diamondbacks, and we'll talk more about that later. There was a lot of emphasis put on the Diamondbacks last year, maybe challenging for a playoff spot. People had the Cardinals going to the Super Bowl. It's just been a sour year and a half for sports, and you hope you don't lose that effect because it's going to take the Suns another year. I mean, right now with this team, they're playing the young guys. Are they going to go into the playoffs next year? At this time, 1 year from now, are they going to be a playoff team? I would have to say no now.
Right.
So that's
without a drastic change, and
that's what I'm hoping the Coyotes can do. Build on these guys that they got. They're not that far off. I mean, you know that they're doing it the right way. They knew they had to blow, but I just thought they would kind of challenge this year for a little bit more.
Yeah.
That exact phrase could describe every Arizona sports
Absolutely.
team in their season.
Exactly.
We're becoming the new Cleveland.
In a way, it's like you said, with the Coyotes, and as Jamie alluded to earlier, it's great that some of these young guys really are getting their game together, and it takes time. I mean, I think it was expected that they'd be a better second-half team. I just didn't think they'd be that bad in the first half. I definitely thought they would be better than that. Now, Max Domi's injury, that definitely hurt, but you play through injuries. Duclair obviously has been a disappointment this year, so hopefully his game's rounded out in the American Hockey League. Who knows what will happen with that? But the Glendale thing's interesting because technically the city wants them to stay. It's just all the terms and stuff, things like that, and that's where, I mean, for me, I just stay out. I'm like, it's too confusing.
Right. Because
and they haven't publicly made it feel like they want them to stay. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And we're not hearing the whole story.
Correct.
True. Very true.
What we're doing, on this and everything. Is it hard to go out onto a game on a Thursday night at 7:30, 8:30 at night? Yeah, it sure is. Mm-hmm. If it was in downtown Phoenix or if it was out in Tempe, would it be any different? I don't know. If they were winning, would you sell it out? I don't know. That's the $64,000 question. Well, I mean, it tends to be a thing here. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't like to go see my teams get beat down. Right.
And even as a reporter, when I go to cover the Coyotes and I see them get beat up by the Rangers, or I go to cover the D-backs and they get slaughtered, it hurts me, and I'm supposed to be impartial.
Right.
And I've done it now for long enough, at least with the Diamondbacks, and they've had an unfortunate 5 years since I've been covering them, but it kind of washes over me. But then I have a hard time thinking, like, would I come here as a fan, like, with this feeling? I mean, because I'm there a lot, that's one thing. You kind of go to a ballpark or you go to a hockey game for the enjoyment of everything about it, not just the team winning.
We all know that winning cleans up a lot of ugly.
Right.
And the thing with the Arizona sports scene, I think we've seen it with pretty much all the organizations. They go into that little even if it's just a little winning window. Everybody all of a sudden starts pulling out their gear, and they're behind the team, and they've been a Cardinal or a Suns fan forever.
Since '88.
And then they slide back into the abyss, and everybody puts this stuff back in the closets.
Right.
But so we do know, just from experience, that winning, regardless of where the stadium is or what day it's being played, they will come if you're putting that winning product on the field.
I'll give credit to Cardinals fans because this was a really bad season, and they've had some bad luck. But by the end of the season, they didn't do that typical Cardinals fan thing. It was just, let's still go out, let's support the team strong. I'm starting to see a culture change for the Cardinals because it was such a Cleveland Browns, once again, the Cleveland thing type, put a brown bag on my head kind of atmosphere for so long. So it's so great to see people like preaching to other fans that are Cardinals fans, like, hey, it's all right. We can still go and support the team and have a good time.
Right.
That's winning attitude.
Right, and we saw it with hockey. Remember when the Coyotes played the Kings in the finals? Was it 5 years ago? And this town was actually alive.
Yeah. Oh, they were.
And they were, because everybody wanted to jump behind. I mean, we saw it with the Suns back in the 90s, when they had Charles Barkley. We saw it with the Diamondbacks and, making 2001 World Series. And, I guess I get a little every city is a transient city now. You look at the teams in Florida, it's the same thing.
Sure.
I mean,
and they're kind of the same as here, but not every city deals with the same thing where, like, their fans will support their teams no matter how long they're bad for.
Right.
We're not that kind of city.
No, because there's always something else to do that you've been used to. I think we're going to see it, in L.A. with the football teams, both of them now. If they're not winning, there's always something else to do. Where else can you be right now in this kind of weather?
Right.
You're going to sit and watch your basketball team, get blown out and play the young guys. So,
and that's what happened towards the end of the year with the Rams. I mean, people just stopped showing up basically there, and so that type of stuff happens. I mean, we'll talk more about it too after the break. And this is Real Hockey Talk / Breakthrough Sports, NBC Sports Radio AM 1060. We're broadcasting at Mod Pizza, 75th Avenue and Bell, right across the street from Arrowhead Mall. Get out here, great pizza, and of course, we got some giveaways and prizes on hand, a lot of toys for the kids. So hopefully we see you pretty soon, and if not, keep listening right here. More good stuff to come right here on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060.
NBC Sports Radio AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
And welcome back to Real Hockey Talk / Breakthrough Sports here on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060. Greg Isaac, Derek Montilla, Ed Smith, Jimmy Marshall, and of course Ed and Jimmy. Easy Sports coming on next week here on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060, 10 a.m. to noon.
10 to noon.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and kind of having everyone together again. And so we look at we'll do a little more hockey talk. Of course, we have our friend Rick from Boston, and as Dave said, that lives in Phoenix now. And I'm not sure if he's out of town. I think last week he was, so we'll see where he's at today. But Rick, good to talk to you again. And we could the Bruins with an interesting week, and so we'll see what they might have in store coming up at the deadline. But are you in town this week?
I am. Thanks, Greg. Glad to be here. I am back. Had a quick trip back east and had enough cold weather that I had to turn around and fly back. But all good back here now, and interesting. It's cooler here than it is in Pittsburgh tonight, where the Flyers in Pittsburgh are playing their evening game outside at Heinz Field. How's that for something interesting?
And that's going to be exciting. Another stadium series, outdoor game.
Right.
I mean, we have quite a bit now, but always fun. But Rick, coming up here, obviously with the deadline, we're finally seeing that next week, and so this is our last show before the deadline.
Right.
And from what you've seen, with the Bruins leading up to it, with the coaching change and, how things in that regard have improved, what type of scenario do you see them going? Because I know that, maybe haven't wanted to give up a guy like Carlo, which definitely understandable. Do you see them really in the mix for a legit forward that can help them out?
No, in fact, I don't think we're going to see a blockbuster of any shape. I mean, with the Bruins, will they do some little pieces here and there? Possibly. Yeah. I mean, they're playing pretty well. I think they'll make the playoffs now. I mean, they're 5-1 since Bruce Cassidy took over. They're one of the hottest teams in the Atlantic, and Montreal isn't. Surprisingly, they're one of the few coaching changes with Claude Julien going back there. They're now 1-3 in their last 4 games and something is amiss in Montreal, and I don't know if you've seen this. Something going on with Carey Price, and it's being hushed up by the Montreal media. Something happened last week downtown. There's lawyers involved and video cameras in a nightclub. So something is rotten in Montreal. But trade-wise, I think it's really going to be quiet. With the Bruins, they could have used a backup goaltender. You notice they played Huboden the other night, and he played great. That was been a weak spot. I mean, I don't see them doing anything. You know, I see the Coyotes will probably make another move or two with Marty Hansel. The Michael Stone move to Calgary. I am not happy about that at all. It's just like a continuation of absurdity. They got nothing for him. They got a third-round draft pick and a conditional fifth. Now, granted, Michael Stone is not having a good year, but he's 1 year removed from an injury. He's a right shot. He's got size and speed. He can hit. He almost had 40 points 2 years ago. They trade him to Calgary for a third and a conditional fifth. If you look at what the Penguins did, they pick up Ron Hainsey from Carolina. Now, Ron's been a career defenseman. He was a fantastic college player at UMass Lowell. I got to watch him regularly. He's had a really solid NHL career of over 900 games, close to 36 years old. Has never played in a playoff game. That's probably the one knock against him. Yet Pittsburgh gets him, and they give up a second-round pick in a minor leaguer for Ron Hainsey. And you compare that to Michael Stone. Now, granted, Pittsburgh was beat up on the blue line. They needed players. But as I've said time and time again, this game starts from the net out, and you need defensemen. You can't replace them, and especially, a right-shot defenseman and the value there for back at the point. I just think it's an awful trade. Just an awful trade.
I think with Stone, the reason is, he's a free agent to be some more of a rental because he's had that tough year coming back from the injury. But, my first thought was I thought maybe with the way the market is, they could have got a second-rounder. But I think it was difficult because, as of right now, playing more like a bottom-pairing guy, and since he's a rental. Now, because of his age, 26, if he was under term, a couple more years with good money, then definitely, they probably would have moved him. But then get more for him. But I think that was sort of what it came down to, is that he sort of is just not been the same since his injury, and he'll just be with his new team unless they re-sign him there in Calgary.
True. He has been injury prone. You hit on that. He does have a history of missing some games, but I think since he's gone to Calgary, I believe he's getting a lot of minutes, time on ice. He's got 2 points in 3 games. He's being productive. Why that didn't click here in AZ, I just scratch my head a little bit. I do know from being back east and listening to the fans calling in Boston and talking about the Bruins and talking about the Celtics, and they didn't do anything to tread line, but the passion was overwhelming. And like I said, Coyotes, they get a hall pass on a move like this. So we'll go ahead.
I was going to say, I wanted to ask you, when they named Cassidy as coach, he's only the interim right now. Can you see that tag being removed before the season's over? Reading the Boston, media and stuff, everybody was all for this, naming him the coach. He paid his dues. Where was it? Providence, I think he was an assistant or the head coach for like 8 years.
He did coach the Capitals years back and didn't do well, so he went back and honed his craft, so to speak. I definitely think going into next year, he will be the coach no matter what happens in these last weeks of the season. And the reason why I say that is a couple of weeks ago I was on the show and I talked about Claude Julien and his style of being a defensive coach. Cassidy had a lot of the guys down in Providence, a lot of the young guys, a lot of the talented guys. Specifically, I talked about Ryan Spooner. in these last 6 games, Ryan Spooner is playing, as advertised, a first-round draft pick, playing extremely well, power play minutes, moving the puck fantastic, scoring. He didn't do that under Julian, and he didn't do that because he was under so much pressure to play well inside his own blue line, and I get that. But his style was stifled. And Cassidy has definitely told them to open it up. He had a lot of those young defensemen in the minors. He had Torrey Krug. He had Colin Miller. These guys are stepping it up offensively, and their tempo has been fantastic. They are playing great hockey. And if you caught the Kings game the other night, they were moving the puck with reckless abandon, and they didn't even have Rask in that game, and they won. So I think Cassidy's going to be the guy. And will they make it official before the end of the season? I don't know if they'll publish it. I'm sure they'll let him know we're coming back, and it'll just be, and they'll save money because they're not going to have to pay him Claude Julien dollars. But I think he's the guy just because of what the kids are playing. The kids are playing great. Even the backup goalie, Hoboden, he was down at Providence and was productive. He puts it in that game. That L.A. game was huge. That was a playoff game, especially for the Kings. And they gave Rask a night off. So Cassidy, right now, he is hitting all the right buttons.
Well, and the Kings are known for making backup goaltenders look great. And Hoban definitely had an outstanding game. Speaking of goaltenders, Jonathan Quick is back for the Kings.
They activated him. Is he? Do you know if he's playing? Is he against Anaheim? Is he playing?
He is, yeah, just started, and so Quick is back in. So, we'll see, what goes on there. Definitely quite a big playoff race going on. I mean, with both conferences and, the wild card spots, things like that. Mm-hmm. Now, so Rick, you feel the Bruins will probably be pretty quiet. Around the league, though, do you see any stunners, per se? I mean, we know a lot of the free agents to be, the Coyotes likely moving Hansel, probably Verbata, guys like that, and some of the other teams out there. Colorado will try to get a Ginla out of there. But any guys that maybe are termed that you think might surprisingly get dealt? I mean, even though Duchesne and Landeskog's names have been out there, since they technically don't have to be traded, it would still come as a little bit of a surprise to me. I mean, do you think any big shockers like that could be happening?
I don't see it happening. I see Landeskog and Duchesne. I think that move is going to happen around draft time when the season ends. To pull a trigger of that magnitude, I don't think we're going to see. The Hansel, he's been talked about heavily going to Montreal. They're talking about him all the time. They need a centerman. He scored 16 goals. Let's see what they get in return for him. Verbata's been rumored to go to the Bruins, of all things, if they make a minor move. And Matt Bolesky coming back here. And that's a pretty hefty contract that he signed with the Bruins, but he hasn't been scoring, but gritty style. He may be going back to Coyotes. But I don't see a blockbuster. I think the Shattenkirk is another guy. St. Louis is going to risk something. There's talk about the Rangers because he grew up in New Rochelle, New York. I think that would be the only blockbuster out there if they were to do something, and maybe Ben Bishop. But I think it's going to be quiet. I don't see a big move coming. If it is, it's going to be a panic move by someone very at the end of the deadline. It'll probably be one-sided.
Well, it'd be interesting, with Shattenkirk, because it appeared, a couple times this has happened. I know Elliot Friedman reported during the offseason that there's a trade worked out before Taylor Hall went to New Jersey for Larson. There's Taylor Hall for Shattenkirk, but Shattenkirk wouldn't agree to sign long-term. over there with Edmonton. And like you said, it does sound like either the Rangers or possibly the Bruins would be his 1-2 choices in the offseason. And then recently there was a trade worked out with another Eastern Conference team. Might have been Tampa Bay. I know there's been some rumblings about who it was. But again, he wouldn't sign that extension, even though he was offered really good money. So I expect, and if not moved at the deadline here, because, of course, you can move him and take less as a rental because he's not willing to sign anywhere long term. But regardless, I really agree with you. I think this offseason, he'll be a Ranger. It seems like it's a match made in heaven for him, and
it is
sort of where it's aligning right now.
Right. You're trying to get all the latest rumors out there and see what teams, see who's hot, who's cold, who might. Edmonton may be in the mix for Martin Hanzal. They need a third line center. Ryan Miller up in Vancouver, the goalie. I mean, he's got a list of certain teams only he will go to. He could help somebody, although I think he's on the north side of 35. The Canadians are a desperate organization, and I see them doing something, especially with them not playing well. They've only won twice in their last 10 games. If there's going to be anything desperation, it might be Montreal. They've got guys that they think they have value. Yeah. I mean, will you see Galchenyuk here with Hanzal going the other way? I mean, I'm not a big Marty Hanzal, I'm not the president of his fan club, but I get more for him than that. But I don't see a big one unless it's been so quiet and so panic. I think it's going to be pretty docile.
Oh, yeah. I think with Hanzal, I mean, because of how in demand he'd be, and as long as he's healthy, he's a real good player. Even on a rental-type situation, value-wise, I could see them getting a first-rounder, at least value-wise, or top prospect. But, it'll be interesting because I have heard with Montreal they may be interested in Matt Duchene. Maybe this is an off-season type move, though, and then maybe Galchenyuk could go the other way in a Duchene move, or have a 1-2 with Galchenyuk and Duchene and see if they can get the offense going. But again, there'll probably be something in the offseason. And we'll see, with Hanzal, if they're the type of team, maybe overpay with assets. And, a team like L.A. who, they're falling behind a little bit, but they're also in that situation where they don't have a ton of young assets to move, but general manager Dean Lombardi, this might be it for him. So who knows what they decide to do. They may give up something significant to get some short-term help. I mean, I think they're trying to stay away from that, but I think they'll see in the next few games before the deadline, if Quick's coming back in the lineup kind of wakes the team up a little bit because they kind of been looking at.
They're going to need it. So they're going to need it because they're against the 8-ball. Keeping an eye on the Blackhawks. Right now, they're one of the hottest teams in hockey. No surprise. March is around the corner, and here they come, the way they're playing, 8-2. Coyotes gave them a good game the other night, but you saw Chicago. They just turned it on, whatever they wanted to, and they started scoring. Yeah. Blackhawks beat the Wild the other night, and I think that's 2 in a row they've beat Minnesota. And Minnesota, to get out of the West, their nemesis is who? The Blackhawks. So the Blackhawks right now, they could pull something off and get even stronger. They did a real minor deal with the Red Wings with Tomas Yorko, a kind of minor league winger. But the Blackhawks, they're a few points behind the Wild. Wild have some games in hand. They're playing so well right now that, I've been saying the Wild all along to come out of the West and go after Lord Stanley. Boy, Chicago's peaking at the right time and playing awfully well.
I kind of went out on a limb this year. I thought Ottawa would be a team that could represent in the Stanley Cup, and they seem to do pretty good. I mean, they're 16-10 at home, 16-11 on the road. What do you think about Ottawa heading down into the playoff stretch?
I look at they've got some good pedigree in the roster. I mean, they've played well. They've got, they're probably going to win the Atlantic. I think they're going to pass Montreal, and either Ottawa or Boston is going to make a push and surpass Montreal. I think that's how bad Montreal is going right now. So Ottawa right now is the best chance of winning the Atlantic and come out of it. But there's they play solid hockey. They're quick. They've got some really good players, but they've also got some poison on that team. And I'm not a Dion Phaneuf guy, and he has a propensity to disappear when it counts and only think about himself. And when you think about Ottawa, does a stopgap number one goalie come to the top of your head when you think about Ottawa? No. You don't. You know, Craig Anderson, you know, he's had some personal issues this year with his family. I don't see Ottawa. I just they're playing well, but they don't scare me. I don't worry about going into Ottawa in their barn and have to beat them. I'm just not scared of Ottawa. But a good pick. I mean, I'm sure you get good odds in Vegas if you took Ottawa to represent.
I wish I'd have done it.
Yeah. Well, you probably still can. You still can. I'm sure.
That's true.
But I'm not that high. I'm not that high on them. I'm still high on the Capitals. They're not. They're just not going anywhere. They're fantastic. They've scored like 70+ goals more than they've given up. I mean, that's unheard of. Unless
they're so dominant.
The choke word. You've got Bruce Boudreau up in Minnesota. What's his big issue? Winning it when it counts.
Yes.
And you got the same issue with Trotz in Washington. Hasn't been able to win the big one, and until he gets that monkey off his back, he's going to forever be known on that. So these guys have a tendency to almost change their philosophy a little bit when playoff time comes around, and you see it. Yeah. The team becomes so tight. It's like, this isn't the team I've been watching all year. What happened? They get so tight, so defensive-minded, they're afraid to make a mistake, and that's how you perish in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Oh, absolutely. And I think last year I thought Washington, it's finally their year, and then Pittsburgh, of course, they got hot, got it on at the right time to end the regular season, and then playoff time, and it'd be interesting if these two teams met again in the East Final. I think it'd be a great series.
It could be Pittsburgh again coming out. They're playing awfully well. They're beat up on the blue line.
Yeah.
They went out. They got Hainsey. Their speed is the same as it was last year. It is. They are still the fastest team out of the East, I think. In Washington, have they improved their speed that much to keep up with Pittsburgh? I see it just like it was last year. So if they meet, Washington's going to think, here we go again, and as much as I like them to come out of the East, it could be Pittsburgh, and Chicago is right now is starting to take over my mindset instead of the Minnesota Wild the way they're playing right now. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah, and I it's something. If I had to go today, I'd say Washington will finally win it all, and I think Justin Williams, even though they had him last year, he's going to really be big-time Mr. Game 7 again. I've just never seen anything like him.
What a money player.
Unbelievable. Oh, yeah. Terrific guy, too. And it's going to be a lot of fun here, but it's sort of like another holiday, Christmas time coming up for hockey fans. With the deadline, even if not a lot happens, it's still exciting, to hear all the rumors and stuff. And, like with Detroit, Thomas Yurko traded to Chicago yesterday. He's has so much talent, but it's just never put it together. But, they should be a seller. We'll see maybe Vanek and some other guys on the move. So it'll be a lot of fun coming up. But, Rick, good to talk to you again. And we'll talk next week, and we could go over all the trades, hopefully all the trades that do go down.
Let's see what happens. It could be some good talking points.
Absolutely. And, of course, Rick from Boston, but lives now in Phoenix. So a big-time Bruins guy, and always a lot of fun talking with him. And, yeah, I mean, there was some other trade movement yesterday with Jerko, and then, of course, Patrick Eves goes to the Ducks for a second-round pick. That could become a first-round pick if the Ducks make it to the third round of the playoffs and he plays in at least 50% of their games in the first two rounds of the playoffs.
A lot of ifs in that.
Interesting stuff here. And so, but thank you so much again, Rick, and we'll talk to you next week.
I enjoyed it. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Rick.
And so, kind of looking ahead with hockey, at the break coming up here in a few minutes, we'll kind of get into some other stuff going on, spring training. I'm excited. Ed's excited. And then Jimmy and Derek, I mean, I know you guys are just chomping at the bit here.
Chomping at the bit. I got one other thing on the hockey, that you tend to see the teams when they get close to the trades and then they pull back, because I think in hockey you really got to fit in the clubhouse at the end when you're running for the playoffs. I mean, hockey, these guys, we know baseball, all sports are mental, and baseball by the most, but there's something about hockey. When you trade guys late into the season and going into a locker room that's different, that can really upset it, how the guys are playing and everything. So I think some teams get to be a little cautious. Yeah, it'd be great to see the Coyotes trade him and to get him and to go here, but move a guy to Boston where they're making the playoffs, or even Washington, but you don't want to interrupt that locker room in hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's that. And especially nowadays with the cap situation going around, I mean, everything comes into play. As the season goes on, the prorated cap, it helps teams out. So like Eves, who was traded yesterday to Anaheim, it's a $1 million cap hit for the season. But as of the trade day, it's only $250,000 prorated. So the Ducks, they're not in cap trouble, but, they fit them in. And so some of the bigger cap teams like L.A., Chicago, if they wait till closer to the end, it could help them short term a bit with that. Other thing, like you said, in the locker room that comes in hand. There's just so many things that, in terms of fit, that plays in hand. And it's interesting to look in the past, not just with trade deadline time, but trades in general that almost happened in hockey. Pavel Datsyuk, like 2007, was almost traded for Scott Gomez. It was basically about to go down, then an owner stepped in and said, no. Or Stevie Yzerman in 94 or 95, before the Red Wings finally won that cup, on his way for Alexei Yashin to Ottawa. It was basically done, and then I think it might have been Mike Ilitch, the late Mike Ilitch, who jumped in and said, no, we're not doing this. But it was basically agreed upon. With all sports, I know you have a lot of this, but it's very interesting with the NHL. Some of the big-name guys that literally were agreed to get traded, and then an owner will jump in or cold feet before it's officially signed.
The guy you trade for, where are you going to put him? Is he going to immediately go on to the first team? Is he going on the second team, third team, fourth team when they do the rotating and everything, and it takes him a while to get going? So, I'm with you. And hockey has really made a change. If you've noticed, a lot of teams are really building the youth movement in hockey, and, maybe because the players have gotten that much better lately.
They have. The parity is great out there, and that is the key. These great young players. We're broadcasting here from Mod Pizza, 75th Avenue in Bell, right across the street from the Arrowhead Mall. Come on out here. The pizza smells great. Derek has already enjoyed something. We're going to grab something soon.
It's so good. Yes.
NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060. We'll be right back.
Check out NBC Sports Radio AM 1060, now on 100.7 KSLX HD2. That's right, HD Radio, 100.7, channel number 2.
And welcome back to Breakthrough Sports, Real Hockey Talk. Got Greg Isaac, who's a little busy right now. I think he's going to be placing an order. I got Derek Montilla, Ed Smith, and Jimmy Marshall, and Dave and Greg Eisner have been really good in allowing us to promote our show starting next Saturday. We're going to be on from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Easy Sports Talk.
And Easy Sports Talk. And we're going to have several guests hopefully lined up. We were looking at hopefully maybe getting Derek Hall, but we can't really promise anything yet. He's checking his schedule. Maybe you were looking at having your old pitching coach, maybe.
Don Cooper, yeah.
Don Cooper. It would be good to talk to him about the White Sox, spring training, baseball, and everything. And
they might be feeling, the White Sox might be feeling like this red-headed stepchild right now.
That's right.
After what the Cubs pulled off.
They stole that right from those White Sox fans, didn't they?
Isn't that? But it makes it interesting. We Greg said, come back and talk a little bit about spring training. I mean, everybody's talking about the weather being a little brisk right now, but isn't it the best outside right now compared to what last year we were already in the middle 80s and people were complaining? But could we not have it better this year? You have the World Series champions over in Mesa and the Cubs, and you have the World Series runner-up Cleveland Indians out in Goodyear. Yep. They're going to draw well. Yep. Obviously, the Giants making the playoffs, the Dodgers making the playoffs. They always draw well out here. Yep. And what happens after spring training baseball? We got Final Four college basketball, and that is going to be enormous. I mean, you just have the casual fan that's going to be coming in here. And we always say the month of March until like the first or second week of April, we pack in the tourists, and hey, let's take advantage of it. But we couldn't ask for better weather right now. I think we got all the rain. Maybe a little rain coming up Tuesday, but we probably have most of it out there. Teams are getting going and everything. Ed, back when you were playing spring training, it used to be kind of lollygagging around and maybe, take 3 or 4 or 5 days to get straight. But these guys have really been working out all year long, and they would be pretty much ready to go. I mean, the pitchers, maybe they take a few weeks off now and then from throwing, but now they're ready.
They, back early in my day, it was, took the off season was just that. You literally just got away from the game, and then spring training was time to get back in shape. Now these guys are on a year-round program where they're, a lot of the guys probably take a couple weeks off and they're right back at it in terms of their conditioning. Maybe not throwing and hitting as much, but they're staying in shape. So when they get here, they're pretty much ready to go. And then the other thing, too, Jim, is that we have the World Baseball Classic, I think it is. So a lot of these guys are, they're on like fast pace because, and I know a lot of the owners and managers are going to be sitting there with fingers crossed because you never want your stars out there, maybe trying to hit the turbo button too fast, too early in the spring. But, I mean, those guys got to be ready to go. So, they're primed, and it's, it's going to be a lot of fun. I always look forward to spring training just because, one, hope springs eternal for every team. Everybody's in first place. Everybody's, fresh and optimistic.
It's a clean slate. We only have 200 games ahead of us.
There you go. So spring training, we're getting ready to get it kicked off. And, and then like I said, I try to make my rounds around the some of the different teams, especially my old organizations. And it's just fun. Like I said, everybody's this is that time of year where the grass is all cut. You can smell it in the air. The popcorn's popping. Somebody's pulling that lever on that beer handle at the ballpark somewhere.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
The sunblock that we got going. You were talking about World Baseball Classic. I love the World Baseball Classic. I think it gets better and better every year. I mean, Puerto Rico is a team that we're looking at that's being really strong. You have Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Mexico, USA, Japan, Denmark. It's just amazing what, baseball, they say baseball is kind of it's too long and all that. We'll get into that later. But baseball is such a global sport, and the Latino community just welcomes baseball, and the Asian community just welcomes baseball. It's amazing to see what these other countries do down, especially, Puerto Rico, the way that they put on. What a festive that's going on. I'm actually really excited about the World Baseball Classic. But like you said, you got to be careful on some of these guys that, they got to get, because they're going to be starting the games. They're going to be rolling around.
Of course. And I think that's the thing. I wonder how it's going to be because the World Baseball Classic is being replaced by the Olympics, right? Like, we're not going to have it once we have baseball in the Olympics. So, like, right now, the level of, like, patriotism and nationalism for, like, players goes off the charts for them to be a part of their country's team. It's wonderful when you see managers like Torrey who openly is excited about his players being a part of this and represent their countries in this in this series. it's right now the closest thing we have to anything that's, nation, country related in baseball. And it's so much fun. So many small countries get an opportunity to really showcase the talent they have, or not even countries, Puerto Rico, for instance, but like you said, Venezuela, a lot of the Caribbean and Latin America countries that don't really get a lot of recognition for other things. They're known for producing great baseball players, and this is that chance for everybody to get together, have a good time with it. It's always really well received too by fans. It never seems to become a thing of like you get with a lot of other sports or even the Olympics now, where it gets pretty nasty. Like, people stay in a really.
Remember the last time they had it at Chase Field, there was kind of a minor altercation.
Right,
you don't want to see it. And the other thing, the Major League Baseball channel, they do a great job of promoting it. They have it on TV, they have it on radio. It's broadcast everywhere. They do a real good job of it. So I'm actually really excited. You're getting the step up of quality of players. I mean, Paul Goldschmidt could be playing. I mean, if they would have done this would you have seen these guys in the 80s and 90s playing? Probably not. It's
kind of the opposite of, say, the what people complain about with, like, the slam dunk competition and such. Like when it's a big thing like this, a global tournament. If you don't have your biggest stars of the game being involved in it, then it's not going to have the credibility that it needs for people to really get behind it. I think that participation of those athletes is what makes it.
One of the other things too is here in the United States, we're actually, I'm not saying playing catch up with the rest of the world in terms of baseball, because this is our game.
Sure.
But what I think is lost sometimes with some of these other countries that you named, especially the Latin community, the Latin countries, baseball is not a game to them. It is life.
Right.
I had the fortune of playing winter ball a bunch of years back over in Dominican Republic, and I never realized how important the game of baseball is to those countries. And, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, this game is something that a lot of those, like, we play it, and we try to get our kids involved in it to give them something to do over here, an athletic endeavor.
Right.
Over there, these kids are trying to, establish their life and create a living for their family for generations, and you can see it over there. Like I said, you'd have poor kids running around with a broomstick and some concoction of a baseball.
Right.
It would be just something they formed into a round ball. So, like I said, they take great pride in the game, and obviously you can tell with all their influence in Major League Baseball. And then obviously the rest of the world as well. You go over, I've had guys who played over in China and Japan, and you've probably seen some of the videos of those guys. It is not a game.
Well, and at the very least, though, even though it's not a game, they have more fun with it than we seem to have fun with it.
Definitely.
Their
they
level
definitely
of fun,
have,
that's where those unwritten rules kind of start coming in and raining on the parade a bit. But,
exactly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They give it a different level of prestige. They respect it in a different way, and that's one thing it's great to see, because, like you said, baseball is, for the majority, it's been known as an American sport, despite the fact that our best athletes at the game come from countries that aren't usually, the United States. But going back to what you said, that's why the Diamondbacks' influence right now in the Dominican Republic is so important with what they're doing, not only with their high school program and that kind of stuff in Boca Chica, but just their ability to be down there and helping people that live there achieve their dream of being a baseball star. And it doesn't always necessarily translate over to them being part of the Diamondbacks organization, but what the Diamondbacks are doing there is all about that. It's spreading the goodwill of the game, and it's honestly trying to, to a degree, it's finding really great talent. That's part of the reasoning behind it, but it's also giving these people that wouldn't have an opportunity to be recognized or be seen, that opportunity to be seen.
You have, when players were coming up in the 70s and the 80s, you never really heard too much about Venezuela too much in baseball, and then it really took off, and then, Puerto Rico, they, obviously famous Puerto Ricans playing baseball, they're doing that, and it kind of had a little shift. Now it's kind of going back up, the relations with Cuba that we're having. Cuba, if you saw the special on Major League Baseball, Cuba, where they have Louis Tion and Tony Oliva and, these guys. So, it's really really baseball is growing just globally, and now they have the China Baseball League and the Korea Baseball League, and then Israel is putting on a baseball. It's just amazing what with the growth of baseball.
Well, no, and I was going to say, I think the difference with it here in the United States, and it also kind of translates over to why people aren't as excited about the World Baseball Classic as you and I are, is because of the fact that baseball is such a long season. Yeah. It's so hard to really get excited about baseball and have that, excitement sustained throughout the season. And people don't even try it because they're like, oh, yeah, well, that's great and all, but I need to pace myself. It's like someone coming out with shots of tequila right when you got to a party. You're like, hold on a second. I have a long night ahead of me, and I am not starting off like that just yet, right? I mean, it's one of those kind of things where it can tend to be a lot, and people have to pace themselves with the baseball season.
Right.
There's been a lot of talk about eliminating games and such.
Right.
But the one thing that I noticed globally is that baseball is not played for as long of a period of time elsewhere as it is here.
Right.
They play more games and they play for a longer, period of time than anywhere else. And I think that's one of the problems right now with American baseball is the length of the schedule. I know it's been like that way forever, but I mean...
And if you think about baseball, basketball has really changed. Football has really changed. Baseball has kind of stayed the same. Yeah, they've adopted a few rules, and, it's hard to a game that is not timed to do the pace the game.
Right.
Baseball used to be the average age of a baseball fan is 53, and that's how old I am. You grew up loving baseball. And in order for them to change, we have changed as a society so much where we have to. But I think you're seeing changes in baseball now, where they're doing. Is 162 games too many? Yes. If you go back to 154, what are you eliminating? 2 weeks out of the season, basically?
Does that do enough?
Does that do enough?
No.
Do you go to 136? Are you going to get the players and the owners to agree? The owners don't want to lose the money. The players don't want to lose the revenue, So how's that going to work? I mean, he tried to do, where he was making about the pitch clock, and I think you're going to see the pitch clock. They did it during the fall league, and it worked really good. And I think that's. But the technology is out there. Instead of stepping out of the batter's box, you have a helmet on. Why don't you put a wire headset in there, and then the third base coach tells the guy, you're bunting here.
Yeah.
You're taking the pitch instead of backing out.
Right.
Now, the one that's going to be the challenge is where, it's become such a, a reliever's game. The guys are only going 4 innings, 5 innings. Then you're bringing in a guy for an inning or two. Then you bring in another guy. And that's what's holding up the game. My only drawback with this is, the games are 3 hours long. You're getting some football games, and there's always action going on in football. But, you're getting some college football games that are 3.5 and 4 hours long, but there's still the action, and that's what baseball needs to pick up. And then the big circle is that you have to look at, are you going to tell the advertisers, instead of taking a 3-minute break, it's down to a 1.5-minute break, and we're coming back? And then are you going to lose some advertisers? You're going to lose your top advertisers, and that's what's going to have to change.
All right, I'm going to throw an idea out here that I've been thinking about for a long time. I've told it to a couple people. I'll throw it at you right now. You know how with the season is so long in baseball, you get to a point like the Diamondback season last year. They're 30 games out of first place or whatever. People lose interest. It's hard to sell anybody on coming to watch a team that has no playoff hopes as early as the All-Star break. That type of thing. Why not shave some of the games off the schedule? Make it where, how basketball, you got, 32 teams in the league, and 16 of them basically make the playoffs?
Sure.
Why not make it where we open the playoffs up to, like baseball does, maybe a lot more teams, and now the last month or so or 2 months of the season is all playoff baseball? I mean, for me, if you save the season down to 100 games, now instead of just we get right now, we have the 3 division winners and a wild card.
2 wild cards.
2 whatever it is. So you're talking about
2 wild card is 1 game.
Yeah.
And then they will go on. And then
why don't we do it? Look at basketball. I mean, they get half the league gets into the playoffs. I know, and I don't start checking in until playoff time for NBA basketball myself for the most part.
Sure.
But it's because it's playoff baseball.
Right.
If they opened it up more and kept more teams, in my opinion, involved in the race, even if, like I said, they're a wild card, there might be an 8th seed, at least there's some potential. That's one of those crazy things. I know it would never happen, but it's just one of those things.
But you're potentially going to get, if you make it a best-of-5 series for the first round in those cases, you're still going to probably end up getting as many games out of that as you would shaving that time off the season. And what you're shaving off is dead time.
Absolute dead time.
Teams that are already dead in the water. You're giving hope to other teams. So you're going to have teams battling for an 8th seed, a 7th seed. You're going to have teams that are 10 games under 500 that are still going to be able to have hope to make the playoffs. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Then you get the one knocking off the 8, because in baseball, what's different about the other sports, most of the time, if you have look at the NBA, your cream is going to rise to the top.
Oh, yeah.
Your 1 seeds are usually going to roll. That's because you have the more talent out there on the field.
Sure.
Same thing with football. You're more talented, better coached teams are usually going to win. In baseball, all it takes is a couple, monkey balls off the end of a bat that find a spot out there on the grass between the lines, and a rally starts. And the best team, let's just put it this way, in baseball, doesn't always win. It usually comes down to pitching and situations. But you can have an 8 seed knocking off a 1 realistically, just because that's the way baseball is.
Because they have let's say they have not to say this height, but they have a Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling like 1-2.
1-2.
Their team might be garbage outside of that, but in a 5-game series, guess what? They're going to do some damage, especially if they can run those guys out there for.
I think you're going to see baseball increase the playoffs. They will. Yeah. I mean, the play-in game has already bothered some of the teams. I think it's great, but you're going to be. I mean, you're talking to an old school baseball who didn't like interleague. Hopefully, we can fix interleague, but that means you have to expand to 2 more teams, and then I think you're going to see probably the teams with the best record won't play the first week, but then you're going to add probably 2 more out of each. Out of the American League and the National League, because it's going to create more revenue.
Interleague is one of the best examples of how their vision for what they were doing with baseball originally got skewed. Because the whole reason why we play 162 games right now is because those used to be divisional games for like 100 out of those 162. So you actually could be 15 games out of first place, but you're still going to play the first place team like 10 more times, so you could actually turn the tables on them if all of a sudden you go on a run against them and can figure them out. It was much different in a period of time, when it was like that. It's not like that anymore. You play too many other teams that aren't in your division, that aren't even in your league, and it's kind of wasted games, because those games, wins and losses matter, but they're really not affecting your division the way that they heavily affected the division in the past. And that's the way that baseball, that's why playing so many games doesn't make any sense now. They're just trying to figure out a way, once again, to make more money. And that's where the problem is. That's why a Marlins Stadium has 1,000 people in it for a game. Because of the fact that you've just oversaturated the market with the product based on greed to a degree, that you're not actually giving people a quality, viewing experience. You're just letting them watch games. That's all it's about. How many games we can put on, what big name teams can we bring into, these smaller cities that need that, boost. But it's like being competitive and a chance to win would make people
Are you in favor of what they've proposed is there's a couple of different that have come up. No games on Mondays, anybody. Or everybody's off Monday except for 2 teams, and that's your highlighted game for that Monday night. So you might see the Diamondbacks playing the Dodgers on a Monday night and then nobody else playing. Then the next Monday night it's going to be an American League team where it might be the Yankees and the Red Sox. They're going to give them more off time. The teams are going to have more Thursday games off. But in order to fix the interleague, like we were talking about, because there's an interleague game every night now because there's 15 in the odd teams. 2 teams have to expand. So can baseball afford to expand? They want to. I mean, if you name 2 right now, is Montreal one of the teams? I'm going to tell you right now, if they do expand, Monterrey, Mexico is going to get themselves a team. I really believe that.
You think so?
What's it take to get from L.A. to Monterrey, Mexico anymore?
No,
it's nothing anymore. And they're hungry for baseball. So you're looking at Indianapolis,
and that could
possibly.
Be the San Diego fans too.
So you're looking at Indianapolis and Monterrey and San Antonio. You're looking at 5 or 6 teams. So they're going to have to expand. But if they do the expansion, then they're going to have to come up with chopping back on some of the interleague and then continue like they were talking about doing. Everybody's off on Monday for the travel or the day off, and then just have one select Monday game. So I think baseball is going to try a lot of things.
I'm in favor of the one game, and the reason why I say that is simply because
that's how you're going to grow fans, don't you think?
Right.
If you made it a national game, even if it turned out to be on the four-letter network, or if Fox picked it up, just to do that, then you could see. But it can't be the Yankees Red Sox every Monday night. No. It can't be. You're going to.
I love the Yankees.
Yeah.
So I'm like, but I'm one of those people that's like that rivalry and that narrative as a whole has been beat to death.
But is somebody going to watch the Marlins and the Padres on a Monday night? You're still probably going to have a Chicago team, Detroit team, but would you watch, the Cubs playing the Padres? Yeah, probably. They've got to find a way to intrigue that. And I do like the idea where everybody's off on Monday because they're saying there's too much travel now, and that's fine. And just have the one game on the Monday, and then I guess there's less traveling involved as well on Thursday. There's no more Thursday. Wednesday, was it Thursday day games, or wherever is the getaway day? There's
Wednesday is the getaway game.
Right.
And there was like hardly anything on Thursday, hardly ever. And
so that's good. But there's a lot of things that baseball's really got to clean up, and I think they're really doing that. I mean, for baseball, if you think about it, for baseball, when you go to the stadium, at least you can take your kids to the interactive where they can go up to the park area and hit the ball. What San Diego's done out in, where they've created the picnic area and stuff. So baseball is really trying to make it more family friendly, but they still have a ways to go. But I really like this commissioner, but is he going to be able to get the Players Association and the owners and himself all three agree? We already turned down, putting the guy on second base, in extra innings, that's not going to work,
And nothing ridiculous like that should work. You shouldn't make any large alterations to the game just to speed it up. And in fact, that's not what makes a long game boring. What makes a long game boring is when it's a 10-2 game and it's still taking 3.5 hours.
And you're taking the pitcher out after throwing the one pitch.
Right. Come on, dude.
What did he propose? Only 3 visits to the mound, and they said no.
Right.
That's what they need to work on.
Right.
What did they say last year? The first 1 through 6 innings was taking 2 hours or an hour and 52 minutes or something. But then the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning was taking an hour to an hour and a half, and there's where the problem is.
Somehow or another, you've got to get the players to buy into speeding the game up as well.
But they are. I think they are.
I think they are.
To a certain degree. But the
getting in and out of the batter's box between pitches to fix every stitch of that for me.
Isn't that a mental? Isn't that part of the mental?
I played the game for 9 years.
Yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with keeping a foot in there. If you got here's the thing. Here's what I don't like. Guy takes a pitch, does not even swing, steps out, takes the gloves, got to do all this. It
becomes habitual. They look like.
Can I give you one player? And I'm going to lead to back in the day, Mike Hargrove. Did he just not drive you nuts?
Oh my goodness! One at bat would take 15 minutes for him, and it'll be a 4-pitch walk.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just for me. There are little things, and then the other thing. I was in spring training a few years ago. Did some coaching with the Indians, and I remember going back to my day, it was if you didn't crisply get out to your position after the third out was made, somebody was looking at you like you were crazy.
Yeah.
Now these guys literally have time for a cup of coffee between innings.
Yeah.
And I know they're trying to speed up.
They wait for each other. I've seen that. And
They
I'm like,
do.
what are you waiting for each other?
Do.
This isn't gym class.
I mean,
get your ass in the dugout and then.
Let me ask you this: since you both have kids and everything, and Derek, Lily's what, 6?
Yeah, she's 5.
So when she goes to the games, is she bored?
She doesn't watch the game.
Okay.
She wants to do other stuff.
But they've created that at almost all the stadiums where you can send the kids off and somebody.
Oh my God.
Right.
They have a whole play area. And
how are we going to be able to increase the game with the kids and everything? Well,
I think with stuff like that, it's the in-game entertainment.
Okay.
I think they do get good stuff with that. I think like hockey, I think is really fun. When I used to go to hockey games, and they don't do this as much, but they would just randomly show movie clips all the time and be playing music music, and it felt like a party. And I've gone to Coyotes games lately, and they don't do that anymore. And I'm like, I mean, they do to a degree, but it's not the atmosphere that I remember it being when it was downtown, and there was a lot of fun nights that I remember going. I think that kind of stuff is what gets kids interested. I think it's hard, though, in this day and age of all of these screens, all of this other stuff, to really get them interested in it. But I mean, honestly, baseball needs more music. It needs more flash lights, and it needs more, stuff like that young people would be into, just to make it more exciting.
It's also tough because of what it's up against. You go to a football game, right, like you mentioned earlier, it's nonstop action. You go to a basketball game, you got the dunks, you got and baseball game, you got a pitch.
It was laid back where you sat and you talked to your dad, about, you went for it on the weekends and you talked to your dad, and about the day at work and how the kids were doing. And then came the pitch, and then you say, "Oh, did you see the Red Sox made a trade?" And then
you got to talk. You actually got to look at a human being.
We don't do that anymore. Baseball's really got to change with that. We're coming up on the break, and I'm going to remind everybody again. Coming up in the 3 o'clock hour, I believe we have Kevin Guy's going to be calling in the 3 o'clock hour. I just want to remind everybody, we got the Madison Education Foundations coming up. The Madison Bash is the annual celebration of music and arts in the Madison schools. On Saturday, March 4th, the 5th annual Madison Bash will be held from 12 to 4 on the campus of the Madison No. 1 school, located at 5525 North 16th Street. And this is what I mentioned before. The first 200 students in attendance will receive free bicycle helmets courtesy of the City of Phoenix. Phoenix Police will be on site to provide free car seats checks in the district office parking lot. And all proceeds from the raffle are going to sponsorship will benefit Madison Education Foundation. So we got more NBC's on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060. We got more Breakthrough Sports coming, and I believe Greg is going to join us back, and we have Kevin Guy coming. So stay tuned. We got Derek Montilla, Ed Smith, Jim Marshall, and Greg Isaac. NBC Sports Radio AM 1060, Phoenix.
NBC Sports Radio AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
And welcome back to Breakthrough Sports now, NBC Sports Radio AM 1060, broadcasting from Mod Pizza, 75th Avenue and Bell, right across the street from Arrowhead Mall. So it's not only a great place, but a lot of good stuff going on around here. If you can't make it out in the next hour, because we're here till 4, come out anyways. I mean, you love the pizza if you haven't been here before.
Good.
It is absolutely amazing. This is Greg Isaac along with Derek Montilla,
I'm
Jimmy Marshall, Ed
face.
Smith. Yeah, and I'm going to chow down in a second. Of course, joining us here in a moment, we'll have Arizona Rattlers head coach, general manager Kevin Guy, and we'll bring Ed, of course, and Jimmy back in. Jimmy, the super Rattler fan. So we'll have a lot of fun there. But, joining us now, Kevin Guy, Arizona Rattlers head coach, general manager. And, hey, Kevin, good talking to you.
Great, guys. How you doing?
Hey, Coach.
We're doing good, Coach. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Now, so, Coach, with the league change, and kind of a couple games into it, and before I hand it over to Jimmy and Ed, I mean, how much of a difference is there in philosophy or in terms of coaching style? Do you have to change quite a bit because of the style? Maybe it's more of an outdoor type of league, maybe the way you see with the NFL, or is a lot of stuff pretty similar?
There's definitely a different mindset, thought process, in this game, more like the outdoor game, but at the same time, there's still a little bit of arena touch to it as well, especially, the last minute of each half, where there's a lot of strategy involved there with clock management and, how you're going to play that last minute. But, for the most part, I mean, I've said this before, we're having fun as coaches back with this strategy because we get to mix in a lot more run game than we have in the past. But, at the same time, we get to air it out. And, we still threw the ball, 28 times last week. And I think we ran close to that much as well. So we were pretty close to 50-50 last week, and so that would probably be the differences is, but there's a lot of things that are still the same as well.
Coach, I got to say one thing. First off, thanks for coming on. A lot has changed for you guys, but for us Rattler fans, we don't have to change much. We just have to be loud and proud down there at the Snake Pit. So there isn't really much that's going to change for us. Maybe other than you got a few, some Friday night games and some Sunday afternoon games. And is there just a different mindset with the guys when it's a Sunday afternoon, or is it just get out there and get at it?
We played some Sunday afternoon games at home, before. I think all of the Rattler home games are either Saturday or Sunday. So, I mean, the Friday games for us, I believe, are going to be on the road. But it doesn't matter. I mean, at the end of the day, we like them playing in front of our home crowd. Our Rattler Nation has always been strong for us and helping us, win ball games. And we've always had a great turnout. I'm looking for a great turnout again tomorrow, as we, play our home opener, and they are. Seems like the fans are a lot of excited of it. I've been talking to a lot of them, throughout the off season, and seems like they're excited for tomorrow as well.
Coach, did anything come up that surprised you in that first go around? As far as feedback from the players, or even from a coaching aspect, anything pop out at you?
No, nothing really, other than execution. I mean, the things that we worked on all week. I mean, that we, our secondary did not play the run like we had worked on all week long, and in the end, it definitely hurt us on the perimeter. But we didn't feel like that their quarterback was going to beat us in the air, and we had to shut down the run, and we just didn't. We did a good job up front, but we didn't do a good job, at our corner positions of coming up and defending, that jet sweep, and we were trying to roll our coverage, doing that, and just we weren't seeing it. And I think one of the reasons why we weren't seeing it is because our secondary is used to seeing one guy in motion, and now there was two guys in motion, so they weren't watching, the other side of the field and seeing that fly motion was coming to them.
And as far as your running game, I was actually I was a little surprised because I didn't know it was going to be that balanced. Normally watching the game and everything's in the air, obviously with the old rules. Was that your plan of attack, or is it just evolved into that?
No, that was our plan. We want to be a balanced offense, and we really feel like that. The run sets up the pass, and the pass sets up the run. So we want to be balanced, and we got some good running backs, and but that's going to evolve, throughout the season. One thing for me, like, I'm used to calling arena football, so as a play caller, when something works, you want to come back to it at some point in the game, and in the passing game, when I evaluated myself, I saw that I did that in the passing game because I was used to doing that. But in the run game, there was some some run plays that we had, early in the first half that I thought worked well for us, and I didn't do a good enough job of coming back to those same run plays. So I got to get my mind programmed to come back to some of those same plays, not only in the passing game, but the running game as well.
And this was a new environment for you, obviously, new league, new environment. What did you think, what did you take away from, the road atmosphere over there? Because I was looking, and they had the 62-game home winning streak over there.
No, they do. And, I kind of told the team during the week that's to me, that's kind of embarrassing for the rest of the league. I mean, no one's really bowled up and tried to contest them. And, you go back and look, I mean, we had the lead starting on the first play of the second half. First play of the second quarter that we led at halftime. We led at the end of the third quarter, and we just didn't close them out and didn't play 60-minute game, didn't finish them in the fourth quarter. We had 2 turnovers in the fourth quarter, and one of those turnovers went back for a touchdown against us. So we just, we didn't finish them off. And I thought we had a chance to beat them. And when you look back, we left 28 points on the field. We had 2 touchdowns called back for penalties. And we had another 2 touchdowns. We fumbled on the 1-yard line going in for a touchdown, and we threw an interception in the end zone that went back for a touchdown. So that was 28 points we left on the board that we could have very easily, beat those guys at home. And, they got a veteran team, and I'm not taking anything away from them. They've done a great job, with their program. We just got to learn how to play together, and as we develop, as a team, we'll be able to win those kind of games.
That's confidence-wise, you never like to take an L, but for you to go in, obviously a whole new situation, new league, new rules, new everything. For you, that has to give you, like a vote of confidence, knowing that you went in there and faced this quote-unquote juggernaut, and to walk away, I guess in a way it would almost make you feel a little more ticked off that you didn't take advantage and win the game, but at the same time has to give you a little confidence knowing that, you guys do measure up in this league.
Oh, there's no question. I've said from training camp, I feel like our staff has done a great job recruiting. I like the players that we have in our locker room. Now, we got to develop them, and they got to grow as a team, and our execution needs to get better. But I like where we're at, and I said going up there that was going to be a measuring stick for us, and I kind of know where we're at. And, but now that game's over, and we got to worry about the Iowa Barnstormers who, scored, they lost last week, but they scored, 50-something points. So their offense, seems to be clicking pretty well. And, so it's going to be a great test for our defense because last week Sioux Falls ran the ball about 70% of the time. Well, Iowa in their first game threw the ball 80% of the time. So that's what I like about this league. We're going to get a variety of offenses, and from week to week the strategy is going to change. And I think that's going to be more fun for our fan base, seeing a variety of football instead of like when we were in arena football, we kept seeing the teams were, the way the rules were structured, all the teams were built the same. You see a lot of the same plays. So I think, the fans are going to enjoy that.
And Coach, you've had such a high amount of sustained success in the Arena Football League. Do you find this loss as, in a way, a good way to use motivation for the team that they, that this is a different league and that, need to step up and kind of not be relaxed with how much success we've had in the past?
Well, this team shouldn't be worried about any of that. They had no part of any of that success. So they need to be worried about building their own success. And, they didn't, this is a whole new roster, and they, only 2 or 3 of them had anything to do with that success. So at the end of the day, we're an expansion in my mind, and we got to grow as a team and learn how to win in this league. And, we'll get there. I feel like my coaching staff can coach ball with anybody in America. It's just a matter of, we got to get in here and get these guys, developing, and executing in the way that we need them to play.
Coach, I know there's nothing you can do about the schedule. It was made, but, tomorrow, you got the game, going on. Then you have a bye week, and then you got to come back and, Colorado Crush, and then another bye week. So we're looking at, really, all games are important. But it's just coincidental that you have a bye week, a game, so hopefully you'll be able to adjust around that and keep it going. But, you mentioned, your assistants and everything, and it's just a different learning style. But I'm sure the coaches and the players, it's going to pick it up. And like you said, you've got all the confidence in this team, and the fans do as well.
Well, yeah. So, as far as the bye weeks go, for me, some people look at that as a negative. I look at it as a positive because it gives me a couple of weeks early in the season to evaluate things and make some adjustments, before we go down the backstretch and, make some changes if we need to make changes. And so to me, I think that works in our favor. As far as my staff go, all of our whole coaching staff has not only, coached professionally, but we've coached in college and so we've been in that outdoor game. We've been in the indoor game and the arena game. So, at the end of the day, it's still about blocking and tackling and angles and all that. So, all it is, the only difference is the nuances of the game. And so, at the end of the day, I think it makes us better coaches because it's a challenge for us. and we got to go into a new league and learn some nuances that we're not used to playing with. So, in the end, I just look at all that as a positive, and it's going to make us, better in our profession.
One last question before we go to break, Coach. How would you grade the Week 1 performance? Where do you come off on, putting that on a scale?
Well, I mean, we lost, so I got to give it an L. But
that's fine.
We got. I feel like we can compete in this league. I like this roster, and I expect our guys to come out and play hard tomorrow and compete. If Sioux Falls is the 6-time winning champ, I feel pretty good about competing in this league, and we're going to get better. I mean, there's no question about that. We're going to get better, and we're going to get better quickly. So, at the end of the day, I appreciate my guys playing hard last week, but there's some things that we're going to have to go through as a team to learn how to win, and that's just part of the process.
I know you're the man for the task, Coach. We have all the faith in you, and I was telling Dave after we talked to you last time before this game, I can hear the excitement and the readiness to take on this challenge. So you keep them boys focused, and we're going to get out there and support you as well, which is we also encourage everybody across the valley to come out and support those Rattlers.
You got it. I appreciate it. We're looking forward to playing in front of our home fans, the Rattler Nation here in Snake Pit tomorrow, so it should be a great game. Old rivalry we're renewing with Iowa Barnstormers. The Arizona Rattlers and Iowa Barnstormers played for the championship in the Arena Bowl in 1997. That's one of Arizona's championship in 1997 when Danny White was the head coach, and so this is an old rivalry that's been going on for several years.
Absolutely, and thank you so much, Coach. Looking forward to the rest of the season and talk to you here in the next week or so.
You bet it, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
And of course, Arizona Rattlers head coach, general manager Kevin Guy, and so some great stuff there with the new league. Take a bit of customation coming in and a little different there. But we'll take a quick break right now. When we come back, Conrad, the general manager here of Mod Pizza, will be joining us. Talk about maybe the story of Mod and some other things going on here. So it's
they make a real good pizza. I think we've all had a chance to sample that. I think Jimmy even has a little sauce on the corner over there.
There we go. Yeah, and so we are broadcasting Mod Pizza, 75th Avenue and Bell, right across the street from Arrowhead Mall. So come down, get some pizza, go to the mall, or vice versa, however you like to do it. And this is Breakthrough Sports right here on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060. We'll be right back.
For all the latest on the Cardinals, Coyotes, D-backs, Suns, ASU, and the U of A, visit NBCSports1060.com.
And welcome back to Breakthrough Sports here on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060. Broadcasting from Mod Pizza, 75th Avenue and Bell, right across the street from Arrowhead Mall. So a lot of great stuff going on, not just at Mod, but in the area. It's a great chance, a great place, to go anytime during the week. And then on weekends, always a lot of fun in the sense where, you have your mall, you have movies, but then a great place to come and get your pizza, your lunch, your dinner, or just a snack even. So it's awesome stuff. And joining us right now is General Manager here of Mod Pizza, Conrad West. And Conrad, you're a Sabres, half Coyotes fan, correct?
That is correct. Started following hockey when I was in school in Buffalo about 15 years ago. So started with those guys and moved out here probably 10 years ago, and then kind of adopted the Coyotes, and we've gone from there. So I will be at the game tomorrow, and I'll be wearing neutral colors.
There you go. Yeah, it's tough to do because, you know, you have the hometown team, and you're like, yeah, and then the new one. But that's actually pretty cool, you know, how supporting them both. But, you know, with Mod, you know, I've been coming, when we talked briefly before, I was here last week, lately, the last 2 months or so, I've been coming quite a bit. I didn't know about it before.
Sure.
And then, you know, they were saying, oh, you got to try this, and come in here, and it is amazing. Not just the pizza, I mean, the staff, everyone's so friendly. The uniqueness, and we're seeing this a little more now, but we call it the magic oven. I don't know if you have a specific name for it, but the fact you put it in and the pizza's done in, what, like 2 minutes?
Yeah, about 3 to 5 minutes we'll have it out of there. It's running 7:30, so we're rolling them out of there all day long.
It is amazing.
I don't have a name for it yet, but I probably should after 6 months, but you got me going now. So,
well, what little story behind Mod Pizza?
Oh, yeah. So Mod started in 2008. At that time, we were going through a recession, and a lot of folks weren't looking to go out and get a meal. I didn't come up with the idea. It was Scott and Ellie Svensson up in Seattle came up with the idea of, all right, let's get some folks out, let's get them to the restaurant, and let's not break the bank because we're going through tough times.
Correct.
So they came up with this awesome concept that we have here today. We're 200 stores strong right now. I started myself with store number 72, and that was like a year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. Oh. So we're blowing up here, and it's awesome. Great concept. We were actually the first to introduce the concept of building your pizza down the line and putting what you'd like on it. Yeah. A personal pizza, 3 to 5 minutes, and it's yours. So that's the general idea of behind the pizza end of it. Mm-hmm. And as far as, you know, yes, we put out a good product and high quality pizza, but we're here to serve the people more than anything else. That's what we're here for. When you take 10 or 20, an hour out of your day, whatever it is, and you come down here, mm-hmm. I want that hour or 20 minutes, whatever it is in your day, I want that to be a good time, and I want folks to remember it and obviously enjoy the food and come back.
Oh, man, that's a great way to put it. I mean, and that's the key, the service, and you have that memory of obviously the food, but when you know, hey, I got good service there and there's good people, you come back for that as well. And so it's a double whammy, really, with Mod. And,
for sure.
And like I said, you know, I live right by here, so since I found out about the last few months, maybe you've recognized me before I came in. Before
I did when I seen you come in. I said, okay, I've seen this guy before, you know, name to a face and all that, and that's awesome. I love seeing. Mm-hmm. One thing that I really enjoy is seeing a lot of familiar faces come back here. Mm-hmm. That really means a lot to me, knowing that we treated them right. They had a great meal, and they want to come back. And you know, a lot of times, more often than not, they're going to go ahead and bring somebody else in with them and turn them onto our concept here.
Yeah, I mean, and really, I mean, that's how it works in a lot of cases, and definitely with me. And so a lot of great stuff just with the process of, you know, the fast pizza.
Sure. And
all the great toppings and everything. You know, you can get your toppings, things like that, but here it seems... It seems like you're eating healthier in a sense.
Yep, and that's a thing too. A lot of folks will come in here and ask for a gluten-free option, which we do have. And you know, toot Mod's horn a little bit here. The gluten-free, I've tried some other ones. The gluten-free that we got here is top-notch.
Yeah.
So between that and you know, if you're not looking to necessarily load up with meats, you want to go on a veggie option. Mm-hmm. It's your world up here. You know, make it happen. So. You know, that's the beauty of it. You know, you're not splitting a pizza with somebody else. You're coming in, putting what you like on it. And, yeah, if you want to go on the healthy route, absolutely. We pride ourselves in the quality of our meats, vegetables, all our products that we put out.
And that's absolutely huge because, you know, sometimes you think, pizza, outstanding. Everyone loves their pizza.
Sure.
But you have the uniqueness of it, not just because it's fast, but the thin crust is amazing.
Absolutely.
And the fact that it's healthy, and I mean, you feel good after you eat it. You're not sitting there stuffed going, I was excited beforehand.
Yeah.
Why did I do that? Now it's like, oh, okay, I enjoyed it. I feel good. I'm coming back in. And earlier, a good point you made in terms of the customers when they come in is when you mentioned 20 minutes or an hour, and that's what makes Mod great, is that you could be in here, just grab your pizza, take it with you, and you're in 5 minutes and out.
Absolutely.
But if you're not in a rush and you want to relax, it's a very relaxed atmosphere.
Yep, and I love it today. We're having actually got a pretty decent house today. I know we got the spring training right around the corner here.
Yeah.
That started up today, so going to be seeing a lot of folks come in, from that. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's really awesome.
Oh, absolutely. The more people try it, the more the word gets around,
absolutely.
As you said earlier.
Absolutely.
And, of course, any other things maybe going on with Mod coming up, whether some other expansion or with this location specifically?
Well, we're going to be moving. I know we're opening up right now. We just, in the last year, we opened up about 100 stores. I'm not privy to all the information, but I think we're probably going to have some more coming here within the next year. There's a very big demand for it from what I've seen in the last year, and just looking forward to the future, looking forward to keep rolling, and that's what we're doing here.
Oh, outstanding stuff here. And one of my favorites now, Mod Pizza, and of course, special thanks, Conrad.
Thank you.
Conrad
Appreciate you
West.
having me.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having us. Conrad West, General Manager, Mod Pizza, here at 75th Avenue and Bell, right across the street from Arrowhead Mall. When we come back, we'll have a comedian here, Mr. Schubert. We'll have some fun. NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060.
15 years worth of new local sports knowledge added to the encyclopedia that is Bob Kemp. Catch the Sports Zone weekdays from 11 to 2. All right here on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060.
And welcome back to Breakthrough Sports right here on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060. Broadcasting from Mod Pizza, 75th Avenue and Bell, right across from the Arrowhead Mall. You just talked to Conrad West, General Manager of Mod. This location is fantastic because it's buy a lot of good stuff as well. But the pizza here, I don't know if Jimmy or Augustino have tried it yet.
No, but it's got its reputation preceded. He said it's like, if you want a healthy piece of pizza,
absolutely.
I mean, they could put garbanzo beans on it. I mean, it's
anything
like,
you want.
Well, as long as nobody goes through and puts like pineapple and ham on it, I don't know who does that because and he's a Dago. He's an old school Dago. And I used to work at a place when I was a kid. I used to work at this place called Vinny's Lounge. They used to run these specials, all you can eat for like $10. You take 2 spoonfuls, and the guy named Vinny woke up and goes, "That's all you can eat. Get out, get out."
And of course, it's Jimmy Schubert joining us. You're here this weekend, Rick Bronson's.
Yeah, we're at Rick Bronson's House of Comedy. I'm working with my buddy Augustino Zoida, so he was happy to come to a pizza place.
I always am.
Healthy pizza.
Yeah.
There you go. It's amazing because they got, as I call it, the magic oven. So the pizza, you build your own pizza, make it as healthy as you want, or it doesn't have to be as healthy, and then goes right in the oven. Within 3 to 5 minutes, it's out. All yours. It's amazing.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I can have a pizza and then go home and tell my wife I ate healthy today.
Exactly. There we go.
I'm telling the truth.
Mod Pizza here. And Agostino Zoida?
Zoida, that's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
of course.
Got it.
Jimmy Schubert. Now, do you guys, when you travel around, Jimmy, Agostino, you guys are together?
Oh, yeah, he travels with a couple of guys. He works with Joey Coco Diaz. He just had an open week, and I was coming out here, and we decided to drive out, make that 5-hour drive out. So it's kind of, it's cool. It's close enough, but it's I love the Rick Bronson's House of Comedy. It's a great venue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a classy little joint up there. I mean, if you want to sit in comfort and watch a comedy show, it's really well done. They got the outside bar, the Heckler. There's even an outside patio where people go and hang out afterwards. So it's and that whole little strip, that high road up there, it's really nice. There's a cigar bar down the street. Maybe after the second show, we'll go down there and puff on a cigar.
Yeah.
And, act like a couple of gentlemen. Now we're here hanging out with you cats, which is awesome. And this pizza, it's running up my nostrils. I'm starting to think about it. And we're getting ready to go. We got 2 shows tonight. We got one at 7:45. No, it's 7:30 and 9:45.
Yeah, that's right.
The 2 shows, is there a difference, 7:30, 9:45 with the crowd, or does it really?
You know what? It's Saturday night. They're both going to be full. We were full last night for the first show. The second show was a little lighter, but everybody comes out to enjoy this. Everybody comes out to laugh. I love the audiences here in Phoenix. I mean, this has always been one of my favorite places to perform because the crowds are so great.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of Canadians down here. Down here, snowbirds come down here.
Oh, absolutely.
Taking jobs away from our illegal Mexicans. It's not right. It's not right. I say we put the fence on the north wall. Yeah. Actually, I want to talk to Trump. I just have this solution to illegal immigration. What I say we do is we go south of the border. We set up Kool-Aid stands and we put like a sleeping agent in it. And they drink it. They pass out. We load them up onto an 18-wheeler. We drive up to Montana. We unload them. They wake up and run into Canada. But I'm kidding. It's a joke, people. Everybody lighten up. It's just jokes, people.
I know, and that's what makes comedy great. It's a time to relax in a sense, and then have you do the work.
Yeah, exactly. Take a breather. I got this.
Well, and you've been doing this obviously quite a while. You noticed a change in the crowd where you can't, people are thinking you're a little being sensitive now is what the thing is.
Well, I mean, it's to some people, but I don't do any. My show's not offensive. My show's just funny. I don't do jokes about like that. Well, there is one section.
I was going to say there's one that we know about, Jimmy. Come on.
No.
I know.
No, but I mean, when I'm on stage, it's a different, I'm just kind of goofing off here. But, I try to take that into consideration. You try to work to the top of your intelligence. But, it's a lot of, it's just good fun. I mean, I talk about, people getting on the airplanes with therapy animals. And if you're not a therapy animal, who's going to be upset at that, But I know I get on a plane to come out of this. Woman got on a plane with a cat. The cat had this little orange vest on it. This is a therapy cat. I'm going, I don't know what that is. I've never seen one before. Apparently, the cat's trying to wrestle out of the little vest. I didn't think he was a real actual therapy cat. But, I mean, is that where we're at with the species? Like, I can't get through my day without my therapy cat. He calms me down. I go, I get it. Being a grown-up sucks,
Right.
Now, you don't think we all want something for every pet when things get hairy? But you're on an airplane, you lunatic, and if the 9 prescription pill bottles in your purse ain't getting you there, I hardly think the therapy cat's going to take you over the top. I mean, I love animals. I would never drag a cat on an airplane.
Well, the cat goes to therapy, too. I mean, nowadays you see dogs that have Xanax and stuff like that.
Yeah, you get doggy Xanax. The cat's got a therapy mouse. It's you, your therapy cat. He's got a therapy mouse. You got but I'm saying animals don't belong on airplanes because the plane dogs, they're not used to those pressurized situations. Like the minute the plane decompresses, the cat starts freaking out. Hey, lady, I don't know how to tell you this, but your therapy cat's having a nervous breakdown, okay? I'm sure you're fine, but he's having a conniption. I mean, it's an airplane. It's not a petting zoo. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do what the rest of us do. Pop a Valium. You forget you even have a cat.
Yeah.
We'll wake you up, wheels down. You get on the airplane now. It looks like Noah's Ark in there. You've got goats and chickens. I mean, what do people do? I mean, you think Amelia Earhart had a therapy cat? No. People just sucked it up. I mean, I'm afraid to fly. I fly all the time. The pilots are afraid to fly.
Maybe the Wright brothers should have.
But you know what it is? I don't think we're supposed to fly. We're land-based mammals. Maybe that has something to do with your anxiety there, nutbag.
Jimmy, I think they got to have you before the in-flight, if they have this little in-flight preview, have you
We
out
got
there.
2 doors full.
Yeah.
The 4 doors aft. If you get in trouble, use your seat as a raft. Come on, float. Come on, float. I can do that, right?
Exactly. I think you got it.
I got it down. I can do it. I fly enough that I could actually do it.
So where do you live, at least home base? I mean, I know, like,
I'm originally from Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
No, I was raised in a mayonnaise farm up in Iowa. No, I'm from Philly, and then I live in Los Angeles now in Studio City.
Oh, okay, nice. And you're, so the 1969 Duncan...
No, it's 1973. I was a centerfold.
And we have that here.
I was a centerfold for Boys Life magazine and Duncan Yo-Yo champion the same year.
Unbelievable what Jimmy's been able to accomplish there.
I I was always a go-getter.
Yeah.
Easy early on, I was a go-getter.
So when did you get into comedy? What kind of got you into it?
Well, actually,
Any
you know what's funny? I started out as a magician. I got a magic kit when I was 9.
Nice.
But by the time I was 13 and 14, I was actually doing shows. I was doing like 6 shows like a month or 5 shows a month. And so funny, my old man was like a Philadelphia homicide detective. He wasn't really, he wasn't a stage mom. You know what I mean? He'd drive me to the gigs in the old beat-up pickup trucks. I had an oversized like tuxedo on. I got my doves in a shoebox with holes in it so they could breathe. And my old man strapped with his 9mm, and we're pulling in to do magic. You know. But then when I hit 18, I just said, I just want to find a room and be funny.
Yeah.
And I kind of let the doves go, and I hung up the wand and started writing jokes and performing. So I was lucky. I knew what I wanted to do early enough because I'm glad I got an early start because it takes a while to get good at it, you know. But and I started touring with the late. I toured with the late Sam Kinison. I started as a doorman. I got a doorman at the Comedy Store.
Mm-hmm.
Then I hooked up with the late Sam Kinison, toured with him for about 5 years, and that kind of really got me started in the business. It gave me a huge boost, and I was able to tour the country and I mean places like I never want to go see again. But if they speak English, I work there. Sometimes if they don't speak English, I work there. You know, but it's I'm the type of entertainer. Now I open the refrigerator door, the light comes on. I do 15 minutes. That's the kind of entertainer I am. But it's all good, man.
Yeah. Other than Rick Bronson's House of Comedy, where's some of your favorite comedy venues that you've been to?
I mean, I like going to Chicago. Chicago's a great city. I like going back east. I was just at the Borgata Hotel and Casino.
Okay.
I'm going to be at Brad Garrett's place in Las Vegas in 2 weeks. I'm getting ready to go to Sarasota, which is nice. It's nice down there. It's like a little retirement community down there. So, but it's good as long as they're good. As long as they laugh, as long as they can get jokes. You know, but you got to worry about people. There, you got to says on my show, I quarter off a couple tables. It's a safe space. You get hot chocolates, crowns. In case I say something offensive, you can go there and just be in your own thoughts. They come with, it's worried.
Do you have in terms of hecklers? I mean, how often does that come?
I got 6 brothers. Anybody would heckle me would be making a huge mistake. Besides that, you guys just gave me an Avenger yo-yo.
Absolutely.
Which I will use on hecklers. I walk the dog, and all of a sudden, bam, it hits you in the cake. Oh, oops, sorry. Now you got a fat
You can't walk the dog on the airplane, though, right?
No, you can't. Walk
your therapy yo-yo.
No, it's so funny. People. I mean, people can heckle if they want, but do so on your own peril. I mean, you could get a callus on your feelings at my show. Let's put it that way. Let's put it that way. If you wanted to heckle and go down that road, we could. But then you also cheat the rest of the audience out of a great show. Because I do. I work my tail off. I work. I write. My jokes are like they're constructed for optimal effect.
Right.
And so, and it's funny because people seem to think that's like the call. Well, you should be able to handle my heckle. No, it's not me. I don't care about it. Let's not pretend like I have feelings to hurt. I'm worried about the couple sitting behind you who hasn't been out of the house in 2 years because they had a kid 2 years ago. They finally found a babysitter they could trust, and then they picked a night to come out and sit behind you, and now they can't enjoy a show. That's what I'm worried about. I don't care about me. Let's not worry. I've been doing this a long time. I got one feeling, and I dare you to hurt it. I dare you to hurt it. I'm not worried about me.
And, of course, we're speaking with comedian Jimmy Schubert and, of course, Agostino Zoida. Now, Agostino, how long have you been in comedy for?
9 years.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so how long have you guys been sort of traveling along together?
Actually, to tell you the truth, we worked together like 3 weeks ago at the La Jolla Comedy Store.
Yeah, it's like the first time.
Yeah, it's the first time. I thought it was funny. He was a good kid. We hung out. They have a condo down there. It's right on the water. We hung out. And then, I had a buddy of mine that was supposed to come with me, but he canceled out. And I said, Augustine, you want to do it? And great. He said, let's do it. So we...
It was impressive when he told you about the Duncan Yo-Yo 1969 championship.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
are we Facebooking live? Are
we are, yeah.
Yeah, why don't you give somebody a heads up, all right? I just love his audio.
You got to ask him if he's allowed to be on. You're hurting his feelings.
If you're actually taping somebody, they need to know that you're at Facebook Live. I just thought I was talking. Now that I know I'm live.
Well, it's going off now because I've lost my battery.
Good. Now, thanks.
Can we ask you about the show that you did a couple years ago on NBC and
Last Comic Standing?
Yeah, is it all it's cracked up to be?
Look, man, no, it's all they act like it's reality.
Yeah.
It's reality.
That's what I wanted to find out.
Yeah, America's become a reality show now. We got a reality show president.
It's scary.
But no, it's. No, it's not. It's like I think they went in. They liked the idea because you get to perform on the show. And the cool thing about it for me was at the time was to be able to see if you could do those television clean spots in prime time and still be as funny as you were in a nightclub. So for me, that was the challenge of it. Yeah. But I think I walked in there with expectations, and I thought they'd pick the winner. Well, even before they had the finalists, they had the semifinalists. I think they already decided who was going to win.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, they. But I went along with the game, and I but if you made the top 5, then you had to go out and do a 50-city tour with Last Comic Standing, which means somebody was making money, but it wasn't you. So I made the top 10, got the exposure, grabbed this girl named Zainab Johnson, who was she was a 6-foot-tall black woman with a shaved head. She was a standout in the semifinals, and me and her went on the road and did like a mini Last Comic Standing. But I did it on my terms, not their terms.
That's good.
You know what I mean? But I definitely dug the exposure. That's why you really do it, is for the exposure.
Right. And I think that's the most important thing, because once people get to know you, then all of a sudden they want to see you, and even if it's something like that.
And then it was so funny because the whole time that came out, and then I had headlined David Tell's Comedy Underground on Comedy Central. I had like 3 or 4 things hit, like boom, 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 and it kind of just brought me up to another level, which is tough to do in this business. I mean, you could be doing this for years and be one of the funniest guys out there working, and comedians know who you are, but are you able to tap into that mainstream audience? And that's the toughest thing, because I know a lot of guys are just underneath that surface, just waiting to get that one thing that pops them through to become a household name.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's all, though, like, I mean, some of the famous people aren't really that funny. I mean, I watch Netflix specials and some other people. I'm going, okay, what's... Yeah, I go, really? This is what comedy is now? Right. It's alternative comedy. What is that? Comedy's funny, so alternative comedy is what? Not funny? I don't know. I mean, they call it the alt scene. They call it this whole alt scene, and I don't understand.
That's a fact. It's definitely interesting. I mean, the different brands of comedy, everything like that. Now, I know you said you toured with the late Sam Kinison a little bit. Is your style similar to that, or is there anyone else?
My style is high energy. My style is very unique. I mean, it's almost like times 10. I mean, I'm the same guy on stage that I am off, but I mean, it's like times 10. It's just chock full of punchlines. It's just punchlines. Almost, it's like a word economy where it's punchlines, and people are laughing. You got to just take it. But yeah, certainly Sam Kinison was an influence on me. George Carlin was an influence on me. I love the way he played with language, pulled it apart, put it back together. He'd do something prolific, like a booger joke, and then he would do something really prolific.
Something super deep.
Yeah, something super deep. And, he was just, nobody has that kind of body of work. He's got like 21 albums, 14 HBO specials, and, he books that he's written. So, for me, he's king. I mean, Pryor's probably second, but for me and what I do, I like Carlin. So it's he's definitely him and Kinison. So it's kind of like those. If Sam Kinison and George Carlin had a baby, it would be me. I don't scream and yell. I don't scream and yell quite like Sam does, but I have a lot of volume. Because I'll tell you another thing that pisses me off. And like going into the grocery store. We were in the grocery store the other day, and the guy goes, just go over there and check yourself out. I'm going, I don't work here. Did I accidentally fill a job application while I was over in the produce section? I thought that was a survey. I'm not taking the 15-minute shift on self-checkout.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with you? I'd like to, and then they ask you, would you like a bag? Would you like a bag? No, lady, I'm going to juggle these 47 items out to my clown car. A bag, that would be too easy. There's handles and stuff on it. How many bags do you want? Well, as many as it takes till there's no loose groceries on the conveyor belt. How the hell did you get this job? What do you take your IQ with a tire gauge?
Yeah, they don't do anything because with all the, like you said, self-checkout.
Self-service now.
Yeah. If you go to the person and like, no, just go over there because it's like they want to take a break or something.
I don't pay these prices to check myself out. I pay these up prices.
You have one thing, maybe.
If I wanted to check myself out, I'd just steal it.
Yeah. There you go.
Shoplift.
Especially if you're going to ask me if I want a bag.
Yeah. You guys don't have that out here. Are they charging you for the bag? bag. So
no, not yet.
We had Los Angeles.
Pay for every shop.
Right. Yeah, 10 cents a bag because they found the dolphin with one stuck in his blowhole, and they thought it was a homicide. They don't know the dolphin didn't do it on purpose. Maybe he did. Maybe he just jammed the bag in there, left a little note with his flipper. They found him floating. They thought it was a homicide.
Yeah, exactly. There we go.
Where's the 10 cents going? I don't know. Where was it going? To the Save Everything Fund?
Yeah.
Or next month we're getting these Kevlar suits for the orangutans that hang out in the mist forest of Gibraltar to keep them from getting poached. We're saving the world 10 cents at a time. No, I got it. We're trying to save the planet. I got the cloth bags. I got 15 cloth bags. Yeah. You know where we're at every time I stop by the supermarket? On top of my refrigerator, right where I left it, because God forbid you stop by the supermarket unannounced. I just want to pick up some things.
Right.
And I got to pay 10 cents. You know, it's and it never goes away. Like even the $25 bag fee on airplanes.
Yeah.
That was to offset the high cost of fuel, but now fuel's $47 a barrel,
exactly.
and it never goes away.
No. Yeah.
See, that's how they get you. You used to be able to watch TV for free.
Right.
They started charging people for it, and people paid for it, and now you can't get TV unless you pay for it.
Exactly. That's unbelievable. Everything keeps going up. It's terrible.
Dude, everything's going up. I was a gallon of milk is going up.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, everything.
Pumpernickel. It's now pumper-dime. I'm telling you, things are expensive.
Of course, speaking with comedians Jimmy Schubert and Agostino Zoida. Now, Agostino, so you said about 9 years?
Yeah, about 9 years been doing stand-up, yeah.
Cool. Who, other than Jimmy, of course, who are some of your influences?
Oh, yeah, other than me, Agostino, who's your favorite comedian?
I look when I first started, I kind of got started from watching guys like Ray Romano, kind of more like family-oriented, like sitcom stuff.
Yeah.
Hey,
kind of seemed like a little more laid back.
Like a little family sitcom stuff got me into stand-up. But you know what? Once I started getting into it, once you start getting up there yourself, you find your own voice, and you realize that ain't me.
Oh, okay.
You know, so now I probably say I don't know, I like Bill Burr, Louis C.K., guys like those kind of influence me, I guess.
What's a piece of advice you'd give to somebody that wants to try it? Wants to try to be a stand-up comedian?
Don't
do it.
No, I wouldn't say that. No, not at all. I mean, it's like anything else. I think if you wanted to learn to play the guitar, I tell you just do it every damn day.
Yeah, but you just got to do it.
Yeah, I know a few guys.
They got open mics.
Yeah.
Look, the worst thing that happen is nobody laughs.
Right.
And then you just go home and you rework a couple things. You go back next week and nobody laughs. Go in with low expectations. Don't think you're going to kill.
Yeah.
But just go up there and do it. I think in doing it's half the battle. Because most people will never set foot on stage. They want to secretly, but going on stage scares the hell out of them. I mean, it's like the number one fear in America. Like people would rather deal with a spider or a snake than go on stage.
I bet you guys both know hilarious people that don't do it because of that reason, right?
Well, it's like Dom Herrera. Dom Herrera has that joke. You know, he goes, it's funny. He goes, I'm funny.
Yeah.
I'm just not funny in front of people. He goes, that's like going, hey, I'm a carpenter. I'm not just good with wood. It's like same kind of thing. It's like, and everybody has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
But now you have to go up and set it so that people who weren't there at the time could understand exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And plus you have artistic license. People go, no, this is a true story. And when you don't get bonus points because it's a true story, you could make some stuff up. The audience isn't going to know they weren't there. So if you need to make some stuff up, you could take artistic license and change it, Right. But it is, I mean, the whole goal. And like you said, there's guys like Carrot Top. There's guys who go on stage on a unicycle with no seat. Some people play guitar. A lot of people do a lot of different things to make people laugh. I mean, the end goal is the same: make people laugh. Yeah. That guy who rides a unicycle with no seat on it, boy, he's hilarious. I think
one of my favorite ones. Right?
Yeah, he was like,
he's outstanding. And you said the scariest thing for people, going on stage. Mine is actually Donald Trump. The scariest thing.
He's the scariest thing.
That's just the scariest thing.
Yeah, it scares me more than anything, really.
Oh, come on. Does he really? Do we got to get come on, let's get these ribbons around here. We need a safe space. We need some hot chocolate and a box of crowds.
No, but seriously, like
get the garbanzo beans ready to go.
Get the garbanzo beans.
No, on I think it's Tuesday nights. Rick Bronson's House of Comedy does have an open mic there.
Yeah.
So local comedians or aspiring. I mean, get down there because
I was telling Jimmy on the way over here. Like I know a few guys that they'll complain to me. Be like, I start. A couple guys that started. I'll help them out a little bit, and then they start telling me like, I'm going to move back home.
Yeah.
It didn't work out for me. And it's like, well, you weren't on stage every day.
Yeah.
You're on stage like once a week, maybe once every couple of weeks. You can't do that. You got to get on stage every
day.
day.
You got to get on stage every day. You got to live it, breathe it. It was like anything. If you want to be exceptional, you got to live it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, and that's the thing. And so, you got to probably have a really strong mental attitude for it, correct? Because, like you said, I mean, you get on stage, if you don't get those laughs, a lot of people would go, oh, man, I don't want to do this again.
Yeah, but it's almost, it's a very therapeutic in a way to be able to go up there and talk about, like, Donald Trump scares you to go up and do some Trump jokes and tap into some. I'm sure some people in the audience feel the same way.
Right.
It's like, but I actually think I find it ridiculous that they ran those two people and acted like it was choice.
Right.
Do you want regular crap or do you want orange crap?
Right.
I mean, at one point, you just wanted to mush them together and make one person and call it clump. Just a comb-over coming at you in a set of cankles in a pantsuit, having coffin fits, not releasing his tax returns. Just this giant orange pile of genetic debris coming at you, begging for your vote. We're going to make America great again. I mean, really, we're a democracy, and that's what we had. That's not a democracy. And I got to be honest with you, it does. I mean, I got to tell you, you got to work for my vote. I'm not neither. I mean, I happen to be an aggressive moderate.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I'm kidding. I don't even know what that is.
I was trying to say.
Yeah. No, but I'm just saying. I mean, I'm just a real true independent.
Yeah.
Because you got to earn my vote. I think both parties are. What the difference between them is like Coke Zero and Diet Coke. I mean, you can't tell what the difference is. And it's funny. I mean, it's like these parties shift. Sometimes the right, the Republicans go way to the right. I mean, there's that faction. Most people are in the middle. Common sense. I'm socially liberal. I don't care about gay marriage. I just don't want the government to take my money and waste it on tracking and seeing how a shrimp runs on a treadmill underwater or how the flow of ketchup goes down this metal trough. That costs us $80,000. Like, you cut those things out, you could save some money. You know, and then, instead of dropping $800,000 bombs on people, maybe you could put that back into Detroit or Flint's water system.
Right.
Or why don't you build a little infrastructure in this country? Or why don't you take care of Americans for once and stop representing corporate interests? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, and I feel like more people, we'd be better off if more people felt this way. Because I feel like the problem, going back to the sports thing, is that too many people pick their team, and then whatever their team does is right, and they support it blindly.
This would be a great, because these people up there act like petulant children. I mean, why don't you take the best ideas for the Democrats and the best ideas for the Republicans and come out with the best ideas from those meetings? These people can't even talk to each other. They're children. And it's on both sides of the aisle. No one side's better than the other. I mean, Donald Trump's going to go down as the only president that actually went in there and started fulfilling his campaign promises. People hate him because they don't want to. I don't want to. Well, you know what? At least he did what he said he was going to do.
Right.
He's been telling you what he's going to do. I mean, give the guy a chance. Maybe it'll work out. He's actually really a Democrat. He's been a Democrat for most of his life. He only ran as a Republican because he knows there's no way he could have run.
Right.
But he and if you think about it, people continue to underestimate this guy, and at some point, you got to go, now, is he really that much of an idiot, or is he just pretending like that? Because he's managed to go through. The Democrats should be thanking him. He eviscerated the Republican Party like a hot knife through butter, and he did it by not branding himself, but by branding everybody else. It's low energy Jeb, it's little Marco, it's Lion Ted, it's crooked Hillary. He branded everybody. And if you read The Art of the Deal, man, that's what he did.
He branded fake news.
Yeah,
he branded fake news, and he made real news.
But in all fairness, some of the stories we can't cite sources. Well, no, if you're going to write the story, cite sources, okay? Right. But the fact of the matter is that no one told about the story. No one's told the media about the story about the boy who cried wolf. Because if you cried, you're going to lose your ability to hold them accountable. But anyway, but you're right. I think if you took the best ideas from both parties, and then out of that idea come the best ideas out of that, and for once in our lifetimes, maybe some of these people would actually represent their constituency as opposed to corporate interest. You know, and the problem is, look, you're attached to a business. I'm attached to a business. I got to work to make it successful. These guys go up there for 4 years. There's no downside. Right. Even if I'm only up for 4 years, I get a pension, I get health care for the rest of my life. Right. What do I care?
Even if I blow it.
And Jimmy, I got to cut you off.
No, I'm not even.
It went by so fast.
This is just the start.
I know. Well, that's why you got to watch tonight, 7:30 and 9:45.
Yes,
Rick Bronson's
this will be continued tonight at Rick Bronson's House of Comedy. Tonight, that and more. You come out to the show.
Jimmy Schubert, Agostino Zoida. Very thankful for you guys came down
having
here.
Us out, man. We're going to go get some pizza now.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
A lot of fun with you guys here today.
Man, thanks.
And then 7:30 and 9:45 tonight, Rick Bronson's House of Comedy. Everyone have a great rest of the weekend.
Thank you.